Archaeologists open a 16,700-year-old sealed cave, and what they found inside shocked the world. Do you believe that a time portal was accidentally sealed for 16,700 years and only opened by humans less than 3 decades ago? Hi everyone, and welcome to a journey into the mysteries of ancient humanity. Today we're traveling back to the Stone Age to explore one of the most groundbreaking archaeological discoveries of the 20th century, the La Garma Cave Complex, located in the province of Cantabria, northern Spain. In 1995, while surveying the southern slope of La Garma Hill, a team of Spanish archaeologists stumbled upon a previously unknown cave. What made this discovery extraordinary was that the cave had been completely sealed off by a landslide during the last ice age. As a result, everything inside was almost perfectly preserved, like the last inhabitants had just left the day before. Upon passing through a narrow entrance, researchers discovered an oval-shaped space measuring around 54 square feet, filled with hundreds of ancient rocks and stalagmites. At the center lay the remnants of an old hearth, where Magdalenian hunter-gatherers once gathered to craft tools, prepare meat, and work animal hides. One of the most remarkable finds was among thousands of bone fragments, 9 fossilized toe bones from a cave lion, a species that once ruled Ice Age Europe. Tool marks on the bones suggest they were worked with stone tools, revealing that the Magdalenian people may have hunted and skinned these lions for their fur and claws. This evidence even supports a theory that early humans may have driven the cave lion to extinction. To date, archaeologists have cataloged over 4,600 artifacts from La Garma, including large animal bones from horses and cattle, 600 flint fragments, hunting tools like barbed spears, shell necklaces, pendants, and more. Particularly striking are the animal fat torches, indicating that ancient people ventured deep into the cave, likely to perform spiritual rituals around a circular stone dome with a horse skull placed at its center. But that's not all. On the walls and ceiling, scientists uncovered over 500 illustrations, ranging from simple hand drawings to sophisticated painted artworks. These serve as vivid evidence of the Magdalenian people's artistic expression and complex belief systems. To study the site without disturbing its natural state, the archaeological team used modern non-invasive technologies like ground-penetrating scans, 3D mapping, molecular analysis, and mass spectrometry. After 2 years of detailed examination, they concluded that the La Garma Cave Complex preserves up to 300,000 years of human evolutionary history, a discovery so important and shocking that it marked a first of its kind. Due to its immense significance, La Garma has been recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The latest findings from the excavation are now on display at the National Archaeological Museum of Spain, and in the near future, a full-scale replica of the cave will be recreated at the Cantabria Rock Art Center, allowing visitors to step back in time, no time machine required. Now, for many, this might just seem like an interesting, even ordinary discovery, right? But for those who are passionate about history and eager to uncover humanity's past, this could be a key to unlocking countless other secrets. And of course, this isn't the only major discovery. The world of archaeology is still full of incredible findings waiting to be explored. So, what other ancient secrets have archaeologists uncovered? Join me in the next part of this video series as we continue our journey into the past. The Teotihuacan altar, found in the ancient Maya city of Tikal. If you think the Maya civilization was only about towering stone pyramids hidden deep in the jungles of Guatemala, this discovery might make you rethink everything you know about ancient history. On April 7th, the government of Guatemala officially announced the discovery of an ancient altar decorated with murals in the style of Teotihuacan, a mighty civilization that once dominated Central America thousands of years ago. But here's the twist. This structure wasn't found in Teotihuacan, Mexico. It was discovered right in the heart of Tikal, a major Maya city in northern Guatemala. According to Dr. Edwin Ramirez, head of the South Tikal Archaeological Project, this find is key to understanding the complex relationship between the Maya and Teotihuacan, two of the most powerful civilizations of the pre-Columbian era. He explained that the altar reflects social, political, and religious elements, proving that these cultures didn't just trade, but shared power at the elite level. The altar is described as a sloped roof structure, measuring about 3.6 feet east to west, 5.9 feet north to south, and standing approximately 3.3 feet tall, all covered in limestone, a common material in ancient Maya architecture. To decode the faded motifs on the altar, archaeologists used a modern digital tool called Ostrich, which enhances color and shape patterns that have deteriorated over time. This revealed a figure wearing a tassel-adorned crown, a distinct marker of Teotihuacan nobility. This is direct evidence supporting the theory that Teotihuacan had not only a presence, but a profound political influence over Tikal, located nearly 310 miles from Guatemala City. But another shocking detail came from the discovery of the skeletal remains of 3 children under the age of 4, found at 3 corners of the altar. This suggests that child sacrifice rituals were carried out here, sacred ceremonies deeply embedded in ancient spiritual beliefs. This find not only reinforces the idea that Tikal was an international cultural hub, but also helps date the Maya-Teotihuacan interaction to between AD 300 and 500. More detailed findings were published on April 8th in the journal Antiquity. If you're a history enthusiast, you know that every discovery like this is another piece of the grand puzzle of humanity's past. So don't overlook this fascinating revelation. – 29,000-year-old human remains found in a Thai cave. Now we're traveling to Khao Sam Roy Yat National Park, a mysterious landscape in Prachuap Khiri Khan Province, southern Thailand. Hidden among ancient limestone mountains lies Din Cave, where a stunning archaeological find is changing what we know about early humans in Southeast Asia. Earlier this year, during an excavation led by Thailand's Fine Arts Department, Region 1, archaeologists uncovered the nearly complete skeletal remains of a child buried about 6.5 feet beneath the cave floor. Affectionately, the excavation team named the child Pangpond, after a beloved Thai cartoon character. But Pangpond is far more than a nickname. Through carbon isotope analysis of the charcoal and shell layers in the soil, researchers dated the skeleton to over 29,000 years old, making it one of the oldest human remains ever discovered in Thailand, from the late Pleistocene epoch. This was a time when humans were still adapting to extreme climate changes and very low sea levels. The burial site, located about 410 feet above sea level, suggests it was once an ideal place to live, dry, elevated, and with good visibility of the surrounding environment. What's especially fascinating is that Pangpond wasn't randomly buried. The child's body was placed face up, head pointing southwest, and surrounded by carefully arranged stones. The toes were touching, leading archaeologists to propose that the child had been wrapped in fabric or plant leaves, indicating an organized burial ritual with spiritual significance. And that's just part of the story. Din Cave itself is an archaeological treasure trove. Since 1996, scientists have discovered red rock art depicting humans, animals, and abstract designs, along with stone tools, pottery fragments, and animal bones in various soil layers. These findings confirm that the cave was occupied during multiple periods, from the late hunter-gatherer societies of the Pleistocene to the early farming communities of the Holocene. During Pangpond's lifetime, Southeast Asia was part of Sundaland, a massive landmass connecting present-day Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Vietnam. This helps researchers understand early human migration, adaptation, and evolution in the region. Phanambutra Chandra Jyoti, Director General of the Fine Arts Department of Thailand, stated that this discovery will reshape our understanding of early human presence in Southeast Asia. An FAD spokesperson added, "Din Cave is a gateway to the past, offering priceless insight into the social evolution of humankind over tens of thousands of years. So it's no exaggeration to say that Pangpond isn't just an ancient skeleton. He's a living memory of our ancestors, a powerful reminder that every person, no matter how briefly they lived, left a mark on the great story of human evolution." Royal Tomb of the Abydos Dynasty in Egypt. On March 15th, the Egyptian government officially announced 2 highly significant archaeological discoveries in Sohag province. The most striking of these was the uncovering of a royal tomb from the Second Intermediate period at the Gebel Anubis necropolis in the ancient city of Abydos. This tomb was unearthed by an interdisciplinary team of researchers from Egypt and the University of Pennsylvania as part of a joint project between the Egyptian Supreme Council of Antiquities (SCA) and international experts. It was found approximately 23 feet below ground, featuring a limestone burial chamber and a mud brick vaulted roof that once reached up to 16 feet in height. Carved inscriptions on the tomb walls depict the goddesses Isis and Nephthys standing on either side of the entrance, serving as guardians of the soul, symbolizing the reverence afforded to the tomb's occupant. Archaeologists believe this tomb may belong to a predecessor of Pharaoh Senebkhay, whose remains were discovered at the same site in 2014. According to Dr. Joseph Wegner, the excavation leader, while the identity of the tomb's owner remains uncertain, this discovery provides critical evidence for the existence of the Abydos dynasty, a relatively obscure royal line that ruled Upper Egypt between 1700 and 1600 BCE, during a chaotic period between Egypt's major dynasties. Muhammad Ismail Khalid, Secretary General of the SCA, described the find as immensely valuable for reshaping our understanding of Egypt's ancient political landscape, particularly during the turbulent Second Intermediate period. Abydos has long been revered as one of Egypt's most sacred cities, central to royal funerary rituals. The Gebel Anubis necropolis, where the tomb was discovered, lies beside a naturally pyramid-shaped mountain. This landscape once inspired Pharaoh Senusret III to build his grand mortuary complex. Later, during the 13th dynasty, rulers of the Abydos dynasty continued this tradition by choosing burial sites deep in the desert near the mountain. But that wasn't the only discovery on March 15th. Elsewhere, in the village of Banawit, another SCA archaeological team uncovered an ancient Roman pottery workshop, complete with kilns, storage rooms, and more than 30 pottery fragments inscribed in Demotic and Greek. These finds reflect a thriving economy and international trade network from thousands of years ago. Interestingly, this area was later reused as a cemetery between the 7th and 14th centuries CE. Among the discoveries were mud brick tombs, human remains, family burials, and even a mummified child laid in a sleeping position, wearing a colorful woven cap, alongside the skull of a woman estimated to be in her 30s. Archaeologists also found plant remains, including wheat roots, barley seeds, and date palms, offering insight into the region's agricultural history. These discoveries are not only vibrant records of the past, but also key assets in promoting Egypt's cultural tourism. They prove that Egypt's legacy isn't limited to just the pyramids or the Nile. It's woven into every grain of sand in this ancient land, where our ancestors once lived and left behind magnificent traces of their civilization. "6,000-year-old ghost fortress in the Jordanian desert." Amid the harsh, arid expanse of the Jordanian desert, where survival itself seems improbable, a 6,000-year-old fortress has been discovered, sending shockwaves through the global archaeological community. But what has truly baffled researchers isn't just the structure's age, but the lingering question: why would such a fortified construction exist in such a remote and desolate area? The site shows no signs of warfare, no battle damage, no weapon fragments, no evidence that this place was ever a battleground. So what was its purpose? Upon deeper investigation, scientists uncovered something extraordinary. This area was once a thriving settlement where ancient people not only survived but developed a civilization well ahead of its time. They engineered water channels, dams, and an advanced irrigation system, using the short seasonal rains and wadis, dry riverbeds that flow only during wet months. Ingeniously, they stored water using porous volcanic rocks which absorb and retain moisture, creating natural reservoirs, a critical survival strategy in an unforgiving desert climate. They farmed with nutrient-rich silt deposits, built terraced fields, and even practiced sophisticated agriculture. Archaeological remains reveal flint quarries where ancient people crafted fine stone tools. But they didn't stop at agriculture. This society raised goats and sheep, produced wool, leather, cheese, and participated in weaving and trade. Northern Mesopotamia, modern-day northern Iraq, is believed to be the earliest center of textile production, and the evidence from this fortress aligns perfectly with that flourishing era. From above, the site reveals 3 distinct hilltop settlements, complete with well-planned stone homes and defensive walls. An astonishing level of urban planning for a settlement from the late Stone Age, and in such a remote location. Yet the greatest mystery remains. Why was it abandoned? There are no signs of natural disasters, no indication of violent conflict. The answer may still lie buried beneath ancient sands. Perhaps at some point, the people realized that maintaining a complex society in such an extreme environment simply couldn't be sustained. A once brilliant civilization thrived in the desert, then vanished, leaving behind stone walls, irrigation systems, and thousands of unanswered questions. Strange, isn't it? The mysterious protective amulet. In the long and layered history of the Mediterranean, it's rare for a tiny artifact to encapsulate such a complex and enigmatic convergence of cultures. Yet a two-sided protective amulet, recently discovered by Polish archaeologists in the ancient city of Nea Phaistos on the southwest coast of Cyprus, has done just that. Estimated to be around 1,500 years old, the amulet dates back to the transitional period between late antiquity and the early Middle Ages, a time when Christianity was gradually replacing traditional pagan beliefs across the Mediterranean world. But what makes this artifact truly remarkable isn't its material or size, it's the intricate religious symbols and inscriptions on both sides, each revealing a mysterious glimpse into the faith and worldview of ancient people. On one side, the amulet is inscribed with 59 Greek letters, arranged in a palindrome, a phrase that reads the same forwards and backwards. Translated by researchers, the phrase reads, "Yahweh is the bearer of the secret name, the Lion of Re, secure in his temple." This phrase is an extraordinary fusion of two powerful deities, Yahweh, the supreme god of Judaism, and Re, the Egyptian sun god. It is believed this sacred invocation was intended as a prayer for protection against illness, misfortune, or evil forces. On the reverse side, the amulet displays a miniature tableau of Egyptian mythology. It features Osiris, the god of rebirth and eternity, alongside Harpocrates, the god of silence, commonly depicted with a finger to his lips. Most intriguing is the image of a canine-headed figure mimicking Harpocrates' pose, possibly a variation of Anubis, or perhaps a symbolic creature whose true meaning remains unknown. Either way, the presence of such a figure speaks to the deep ritual significance the object held for its wearer. According to archaeologists, this amulet is a rare testament to the persistence of polytheistic traditions, even after Christianity had become the official religion of the Eastern Roman Empire. People continued to secretly preserve ancient beliefs through objects like this, blending religions, cultures, and their fears of the invisible world into a single token of faith. The remains of the oldest known woman on Earth. Deep beneath the earth in South Africa, inside a place known as Malapa Cave, archaeologists have added a groundbreaking new chapter to the story of human evolution. There, they uncovered an almost perfectly preserved skeleton, dating back approximately 3.6 million years, believed to be the oldest known remains of a woman ever discovered on Earth. The skeleton belongs to a young Australopithecus sediba, an early hominid species that represents a crucial link in the evolutionary transition from ape to human. But what makes this discovery so incredibly rare is the presence of fossilized skin, something never before seen in prehistoric human remains. Even the smallest patch of skin opens the door to an unprecedented opportunity, the chance to analyze the DNA of one of our most ancient ancestors. These biological clues could help scientists understand not only physical traits, but also climate conditions, habitat, and the evolution of human adaptability millions of years ago. According to the research team, the skeleton belonged to a young woman between 18 and 22 years old, who likely fell from a cliff into the Malapa cave system, where the unique environment, sheltered from wind, with consistent humidity and rich mineral content, preserved her body in extraordinary condition for millions of years. One fascinating detail lies in her fingers, which are shaped and proportioned much like those of modern humans, suggesting that the ability to use tools was already beginning to emerge. Her pelvis, spine, and feet also suggest that Australopithecus sediba walked upright, but retained tree-climbing agility, offering insight into a species still transitioning from life in the trees to life on the ground. Malapa Cave, located in what's known as the cradle of humankind, has long been considered a treasure trove of fossils. But this discovery goes far beyond archaeology. It touches the very root of some of humanity's most profound questions. Who are we? Where did we come from? Despite the passage of millions of years, this young woman's remains still echo softly from the depths of time. She left no gravestone, no name, but what she did leave behind. A fragile piece of skin, delicate bones, might just be the missing puzzle piece modern science needs to understand ourselves. She likely never knew she would change the world, but now, because of her, we may be one step closer to the truth about the origins of humankind. A 2,000-year-old mystery beneath volcanic ash. Have you ever heard of Pompeii, the city where time seemed to freeze at the most terrifying moment in history? If so, let's journey back in time and uncover the secrets hidden for over 2,000 years beneath the thick ash of Mount Vesuvius. In 79 AD, Pompeii was a wealthy and thriving Roman city. But within less than 24 hours, it was entirely buried under more than 20 feet of scorching ash and rock during one of the most catastrophic volcanic eruptions ever recorded. Strangely, it was that very blanket of ash that became a remarkable time capsule, preserving nearly everything, from everyday objects and architecture to the final emotions of its people. In recent years, archaeologists have intensified excavations in Regio Five, one of the least explored sections of the city. What they uncovered was astonishing: an intact wall and 5 human skeletons buried in the ruins. Who were they? What were they doing at that fateful moment? The answers remain a mystery, but what was found continues to amaze the world and offer vivid glimpses into a once glorious civilization. Pompeii is not just a city of death, it is a treasure trove of unique art. Imagine stepping into the House of Jupiter, a grand villa once owned by a well-educated and noble man, located in the heart of the city. Although partially excavated in the 18th century, it wasn't until the 21st century, thanks to modern archaeological technologies, that its exquisite frescoes began to reveal their original brilliance. You'd be stunned to see vibrant wall paintings depicting gods, mythological tales, and the spiritual life of Roman citizens. The artistic style of Pompeii's murals has been compared to Impressionism and the Renaissance, though it predates both movements by many centuries. Pompeii is more than a ruin. It is a living history book, a voice from the past whispering to the present. Every excavation is a renewed conversation with time itself, a story of life, sudden death, and most of all, memories that refuse to fade. We can only hope that future archaeological efforts will uncover even more secrets from this extraordinary place, helping us better understand the lives of those caught in that final, fateful moment. The largest palace in China's history. The Forbidden City is known as one of the largest surviving wooden architectural complexes in the world and is recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. But few people are aware that China once had a palace complex even more magnificent and far larger, Wei Yang Palace. Constructed in 200 BC by order of Emperor Gaozu of Han, under the supervision of Prime Minister Xiao He, Wei Yang Palace served as the imperial residence and administrative center for multiple dynasties, including the Han, Jin, and several of the southern and northern dynasties. Located in Chang'an, modern-day Xi'an, Shanxi province, it stood as the heart of the Han dynasty's capital. From east to west, the palace stretched about 1.34 miles, and from north to south, it extended approximately 1.4 miles, covering a total area of roughly 1.85 square miles. To put that into perspective, Wei Yang Palace was nearly 7 times larger than the Forbidden City, which spans only about 0.28 square miles. Compared to Vatican City in Rome, Wei Yang Palace was more than 11 times its size, a truly staggering scale. Though now reduced to ruins, Wei Yang Palace was once among the largest palace complexes in the world. Today's remnants barely hint at the grandeur, power, and splendor that defined this architectural marvel during the Han Dynasty. However, by the Tang Dynasty, its importance declined as emperors began constructing new palace centers. Many believe the palace suffered significant destruction during this era. Historical records link the devastation of Wei Yang Palace to 2 major events: the An Lushan Rebellion in the mid-8th century and the Huangqiao Uprising, both of which left massive scars on the Tang Dynasty and may have contributed to the palace's downfall. Today, the ruins of Wei Yang Palace are an important archaeological site, where researchers continue to uncover intriguing details. The palace complex had a rectangular layout, surrounded by massive earthen walls with a central gate on each side, flanked by two smaller gates. The palace was built on rammed earth foundations, a material both eco-friendly and structurally strong, resistant to fire and termites. Major buildings within the complex included the Front Hall, Warm Chamber Hall, Golden Flower Hall, Bright Hall, Xiaofeng Hall, 100 Lotus Terrace, and the Heavenly Deer Pavilion. The site also featured elaborate artificial lakes and man-made mountains, design elements that distinguished it from earlier dynasties. Despite existing for around 1,041 years, Wei Yang Palace is considered the largest and longest-lasting royal palace in Chinese history. Its planning and architecture had a profound influence on imperial palace design for over 2,000 years, laying the foundation for countless later palaces, including the Forbidden City itself. A 200,000-year-old eggshell. A team of scientists led by Dr. Philip K. Bird and Dr. Alex Pryor from the University of Exeter has uncovered fascinating information from ostrich eggshell fragments excavated at the Bundu farm site in South Africa's Northern Cape. The site dates back between 250,000 and 350,000 years, one of the rare Middle Stone Age locations in southern Africa from this period. It coincides with the early appearance of communities carrying genetic markers of modern Homo sapiens. One special eggshell fragment provided a detailed window into the climate conditions of the time. Combined with other local data, scientists concluded that this now arid region was once a lush Garden of Eden for humans and countless animal species, many of which are now extinct. But by the time that mysterious egg was laid, around 200,000 years ago, a major environmental shift was underway. The land had begun drying out and rapidly turning into barren soil. This had a devastating effect on early humans, cutting off essential resources. Yet paradoxically, these hardships also pushed evolution forward. The survivors had to think smarter, create better tools, and even migrate to survive in the harsh new climate. It's likely that many regions in Africa experienced repeated cycles of drought and rainfall, causing major disruptions in human life, and in turn, spurring rapid evolutionary changes. So why did ostrich eggshells reveal so much? Because ostriches eat the freshest leaves from local plants, the chemical composition of their eggs reflects the vegetation at the time. This allows scientists to reconstruct ancient diets, ecosystems, and even climate patterns with surprising precision. The ancient Greek supercomputer. One of the most astonishing inventions of ancient Greece isn't the grandeur of the Parthenon or the brilliance of philosophical texts, but rather a device that still baffles scientists today, the Antikythera mechanism. In 1902, archaeologists discovered this remarkable machine at the bottom of the Aegean Sea, near the island of Antikythera, within the wreckage of a sunken ship. So, what makes this device one of the most extraordinary achievements of human history? Believed to date back to around 200 to 70 BCE, the Antikythera mechanism is often described as an ancient supercomputer. But don't be fooled into thinking it was a simple calculator. It was built using an incredibly sophisticated system of mechanical gears, originally containing up to 37 bronze gears, though only about 30 remain today. Each gear, no matter how small, played a crucial role in creating a highly synchronized system that could operate with astonishing precision. What's truly remarkable about the Antikythera is its ability to calculate and model astronomical cycles. It wasn't just a 365-day calendar. It could also track leap years every 4 years, something modern calendars didn't formally implement until the Gregorian calendar in the 16th century. The device could even simulate the Metonic and Callippic cycles, two extremely complex time systems tied to the movements of the moon, the sun, and the planets. Beyond that, the mechanism could predict solar and lunar eclipses, events that, at the time, often sparked fear and awe among the people. But for the ancient Greeks, the Antikythera mechanism represented more than just a timekeeping device. It was a fusion of science, philosophy, and humanity's relentless quest to understand the cosmos. One particularly fascinating feature of the device is a tiny gear that tracked the moon's phases, suggesting that the Greeks studied lunar motion in great detail. This indicates they were deeply invested not just in measuring time, but also in decoding the skies to predict natural phenomena such as eclipses and seasonal changes. To this day, much of the Antikythera mechanism remains a mystery. Its corroded and fragmented condition makes it extremely difficult to study. Nevertheless, what remains of it is a treasure trove of knowledge, a shining testament to a civilization whose scientific and intellectual capabilities far surpassed what we once believed possible. The mystery of the Buddha statue that cried 4 times in China. The Lashan giant Buddha, recognized as the tallest stone Buddha statue in the world, stands at an impressive height of 233 feet. Towering against Mount Lingyun, the statue overlooks the confluence of 3 rivers, the Minjiang, Qingyi, and Dadu, in Lashan City, Sichuan Province, China. Construction of this monumental statue began in 713 AD during the reign of Emperor Xuanzong of the Tang dynasty and took nearly a century to complete. According to legend, before the statue was built, this river junction was notorious for dangerous waters and frequent unexplained shipwrecks. A monk named Hai Tong from the nearby Lingyun Temple witnessed the repeated tragedies suffered by local villagers. Believing that a water spirit or monster was responsible, he called upon the people to join him in constructing a Buddha statue to calm the spirits and protect travelers. Strangely enough, after the statue was erected, the turbulent waters reportedly became calm and shipwrecks ceased. What's even more mysterious is the Buddha's spiritual connection to human events. According to Baidu and various historical accounts, the Lashan Buddha has wept 4 times since its completion. In 1962, 1963, 1976, and 1994, each time during moments of national tragedy or significant emotional impact. In 1962, China was in the midst of a devastating famine caused by disastrous policies during the Great Leap Forward. Severe droughts plagued the country for 3 consecutive years, and millions perished, with Sichuan province alone reportedly losing nearly 10 million people. Survivors claim to have seen the Buddha close its eyes and shed tears, with dark streaks resembling tear trails flowing down its face. They believe the Buddha had manifested compassion and sorrow for the suffering people. A similar phenomenon occurred in 1963, during the ongoing famine. Some locals even managed to photograph the tears, and the images quickly spread across the nation. In response, the government dispatched scientists to investigate and ordered more than 10 million statues across China to be cleaned, including the Lashan Buddha. But despite their efforts, the tear stains could not be wiped away. Then in 1976, just before the Tangshan earthquake, one of the deadliest natural disasters in modern history that killed over 242,000 people, the Buddha was again reported to have closed its eyes and wept. Witnesses even noted a look of anger on the statue's face, as if it were condemning the heavens for the suffering of the people. The last recorded instance occurred in 1994, when the statue had become a major tourist attraction. On June 7th, tourists riding boats near the Buddha reported seeing tears streaming down its face, with facial muscles and even the chin appearing to move. Yet once the boats docked, observers said the statue's expression had changed. Its face relaxed, and its mouth curved slightly into a smile, even though tear marks still remained. That same day, a respected spiritual master was on a boat nearby with his disciples. One of them, overwhelmed, asked why the Buddha cried. The master explained that the Buddha wept because people no longer respected the sacred as they once did. But he smiled because he recognized the disciples' sincerity and hope for a future of spiritual revival. To this day, Chinese scientists have spent years researching the phenomenon using advanced technology, yet no scientific explanation has been confirmed for the mysterious tears of the Lashan giant Buddha. The star mural and the mysterious race. Have you ever wondered if our ancestors might have possessed knowledge far beyond what we believe possible today? A strange discovery made in 1938 challenged the way we view ancient human understanding and revealed the existence of a mysterious race that remains unexplained to this day. Let's journey back in time to an ancient cave deep within the Himalayan mountains, a place filled with secrets beyond imagination. When a team of archaeologists explored this cave, they found not only traces of prehistoric human life, but also murals carved on the walls, depicting the sky, stars, and strange celestial events. These weren't just simple drawings. They resembled a cosmic map, suggesting that our ancestors had a profound understanding of astronomy and the universe millions of years ago. This completely shifts our perception of ancient human knowledge. Carbon dating analysis revealed that these caves were once inhabited by humans approximately 11 million years ago. This raises a stunning question. How could prehistoric humans possess such detailed knowledge of the stars, something we're only beginning to understand in the 21st century? But the story goes even further. Archaeologists also uncovered 715 Dropa stone discs, each etched with complex hieroglyphic-like symbols that remain largely undeciphered. These discs are believed to contain important information about an ancient civilization, possibly tales of the cosmos, interstellar journeys, or secrets we have yet to fully grasp. Most astonishing of all was the discovery of skeletal remains belonging to a strange race. These skeletons had distinctly small bodies and disproportionately large heads, features that gave them an appearance more alien than human. Were these beings an undiscovered ancient species, or could they be the remains of extraterrestrial visitors from millions of years ago? To this day, the origins of this mysterious race remain unknown. Some theories suggest they may have coexisted with humans, while others propose they were beings from another world who made contact with our ancestors. Regardless of the theory, the truth remains elusive. Will future research reveal more of these ancient secrets? Could we be overlooking clues that point to forgotten civilizations or extraterrestrial contact in Earth's distant past? Only time will tell. The answers to these mysteries might lie just beneath our feet, waiting to be discovered. The 700-year-old Buddha head, hidden in tree roots. The city of Ayutthaya, founded in 1350, was the second capital of Thailand after Sukhothai. Once one of the largest cities in the world, with a population of nearly 1 million people, Ayutthaya was a powerful cultural and political center between 1351 and 1767, until it was invaded and destroyed by Burmese forces. During the invasion, men were killed, women were captured, and temples were decimated. Many Buddha statues were left headless, and the once prosperous city was reduced to ruins. Countless temples were destroyed or collapsed under the violence. The Burmese invasion left behind a trail of devastation that marked one of the greatest losses to human heritage. By the 20th century, the Thai government had begun restoring Ayutthaya, transforming it into a modern city. In 1991, UNESCO recognized it as a World Heritage Site. However, many of its historical sites still bear the scars of the past, with ruins that transport visitors back in time, evoking the grandeur and the destruction of its golden era. Among the most iconic landmarks is a 700-year-old stone Buddha head entwined in the thick roots of a sacred fig tree, located within the grounds of Wat Mahathat Temple. Remarkably, despite the massive roots that should have crushed the statue over time, the Buddha's head remains untouched. Instead, it has become a living part of the tree itself, a mesmerizing sight where nature and spirituality appear to merge. According to legend, when Ayutthaya fell, a soldier placed the Buddha's head at the base of the tree. Over centuries of war, weather, and neglect, the tree grew around it, but never damaged it. Instead, the roots gently embraced the statue, preserving it in an almost divine act of protection. Today, visitors are struck not just by the surreal image, but by the expression of the statue itself. Despite being enclosed tightly by gnarled roots, the Buddha's face wears a faint, peaceful smile, a serene presence amid the devastation. Locals believe the site is sacred and brings good fortune to those who visit. Even in sorrowful silence, the Buddha's calm gaze and subtle smile radiate an unshakable resilience, reminding us that even in the most despairing times, there is still hope and grace to be found. The 21 most shocking and mysterious recent archaeological discoveries that could rewrite world history. 26.5 million-year-old giant rhino fossils. The fossils of two giant rhinos, estimated to be around 26.5 million years old, have been unearthed in China. These findings mark a significant milestone in the history of science and offer new insight into what the Asian landscape looked like millions of years ago. The newly discovered giant rhinos were far larger than modern rhinos. Scientists have named the species Paraceratherium lynxiaense. This prehistoric rhino weighed around 48,000 pounds, the equivalent of 4 fully grown African elephants or 8 adult white rhinos. It stood nearly 16.4 feet tall at the shoulder, with a body length of about 36 feet, and its head could reach a height of approximately 23 feet. Its colossal size makes Paraceratherium lynxiense even larger than the woolly mammoth, earning it the title of the largest land mammal to have ever lived. Of the 2 fossils discovered, one included a skull, jawbone, teeth, and the vertebra that connects the head to the spine. The other consisted of 3 cervical vertebrae. Based on these specimens, scientists were able to reconstruct the ancient animal and concluded that it was distinct enough to be considered a new species. According to researchers, giant rhinos were once widespread across parts of Asia, including what is now Pakistan, China, Mongolia, and Kazakhstan. The Paraceratherium genus was the most widely distributed among all the giant rhino species. What surprised scientists most about the discovery is the implication it has for ancient Asian ecosystems. It suggests the presence of highly productive vegetation in the regions where these massive mammals lived. Most giant mammals went extinct as Earth's climate became significantly drier during the Oligocene epoch, approximately 34 to 23 million years ago. The drying climate led to the decline of vast forests, which many large mammals depended on for food. Despite this environmental shift, the giant rhino managed to survive for an extended period. A 700-year-old skeleton still holding hands. During an excavation project at the site of a long-lost church in Leicestershire, England, archaeologists discovered 2 skeletons buried side by side, still holding hands, despite having been underground for over 700 years. While double burials aren't uncommon, what makes this discovery remarkable is that the bodies were found at the Church of St. Morel, a site that had vanished from historical records and was only recently rediscovered by local historians and a team of researchers. The 2 individuals were not buried in the main parish church of the area, which puzzled the experts. According to Vicky Score, one of the lead researchers, the question remains: why were these bodies interred at St. Morel's when Hallaton already had a functioning and prominent church? This raises the possibility that the now-lost church served a special burial purpose at the time. Researchers suggest that in the 14th century, the site may have been a pilgrimage stop in Hallaton, a rural village in eastern Leicestershire. Alternatively, the couple might have been outcasts, exiled individuals, criminals, or victims of disease who were buried there instead of in the main churchyard. Archaeologists from the University of Leicester's Archaeological Services, along with local volunteers, have been excavating the site of the lost church of St. Morel for the past 4 years. Evidence shows that the site dates back to Roman times, around 2,000 years ago. So far, excavations have revealed parts of the church's walls and stone foundations, along with fragments of plaster, tiles, and masonry extending from the windows and surrounding a nearby cemetery. Among the findings were several silver coins, which were dated between the 12th and 16th centuries. These coins helped researchers determine the active period of the church. Using radiocarbon dating, archaeologists concluded that all 11 skeletons unearthed at the site likely date back to the 14th century. Each of the bodies was buried in an east-west orientation, in keeping with Christian burial customs of the time. The ancient CD no one can decode. The object in the photo is known as the Phaistos disc, dating back to the Minoan civilization of Greece, approximately 3,700 years ago. It is a clay disc with a diameter of about 6.3 inches, engraved with a series of pictographic symbols. These symbols are believed to represent the world's earliest known form of printed text and have puzzled archaeologists for decades. To this day, Dr. Gareth Owens of the Technological Educational Institute of Crete believes he may have deciphered the meaning behind the symbols and message of this ancient artifact. The disc features 241 pictographs made up of 45 unique characters, including images of running men, crowned heads with feathered headdresses, women, children, animals, birds, insects, tools, weapons, and trees. Dr. Owen suggests that the disc contains a prayer to the Minoan great goddess. A key word on the disc, which can be pronounced as Ahika, is believed to mean pregnant mother. One side of the disc appears to be dedicated to a pregnant woman, while the other depicts a woman giving birth. The Phaistos disc was discovered in 1903 by Italian archaeologists during an excavation of the ruins of the Minoan Palace at Phaistos, located in southern Crete. To this day, the artifact continues to attract attention from researchers and archaeologists around the world due to the mysterious nature of its inscriptions. Sunken treasure off the coast of Egypt. A team of underwater archaeologists, led by French maritime archaeologist Franck Gaudiot, has uncovered remarkable new findings at the Temple of Amun in the ancient port city of Thonis Herakleion, located in Abu Qir Bay, Egypt. The team explored the southern canal of the city, where massive stone blocks from the temple had collapsed during what they described as a catastrophic flood event in the mid-2nd century BCE. The Temple of Amun was historically a sacred site where pharaohs would receive their divine power from the supreme gods of ancient Egypt. Among the precious artifacts excavated were ceremonial silver instruments, gold jewelry, and broken perfume or ointment jars. These findings reflect both the wealth of the sanctuary and the deep religious devotion of the ancient port's inhabitants. Notably, to the east of the temple, archaeologists discovered a Greek sanctuary dedicated to the goddess Aphrodite. There, they uncovered bronze and ceramic artifacts, confirming that Greek settlers, who were allowed to live and trade in the city during the Sate dynasty, also had places to worship their own deities. The discovery of Greek weapons further suggests the presence of Greek mercenaries who may have guarded the entrance to the kingdom at the Canopic branch of the Nile, the river's largest and most navigable channel. In addition to these relics, the team also uncovered underground structures supported by well-preserved wooden columns and beams dating back to the 5th century BCE. The remains of Thonis Herakleion were first discovered by the European Institute for Underwater Archaeology, IEASM, in 2000. Today, the city lies submerged about 4.3 miles off the Egyptian coast. For centuries, Thonis Herakleion was Egypt's main Mediterranean port until Alexander the Great founded Alexandria in 331 BCE. However, the city's demise was brought on by a combination of rising sea levels, earthquakes, and tsunamis, which triggered a phenomenon called soil liquefaction. As a result, a massive area of around 42 square miles of the Nile Delta, including Thonis Herakleion, sank beneath the sea. 2,000-year-old Dead Sea Scrolls. Scientists have recently uncovered a fascinating secret about the most beautifully preserved Dead Sea Scroll, one of nearly 1,000 ancient manuscripts discovered in over a dozen caves near Qumran, in the eastern Judean desert, West Bank. Written between approximately 408 BCE and 318 BCE, the Dead Sea Scrolls are among the most valuable ancient documents ever found. Their primary content includes the Hebrew Bible, the oldest known version of the text, which contains many important historical references. The scrolls were stored in ceramic jars and hidden in caves to protect them from Roman destruction. One of the greatest mysteries surrounding the scrolls has puzzled scientists for decades: how they survived for over 2 millennia despite being written on parchment, an organic material that should have decayed long ago. Recently, Professor Admir Masik, a member of the current research team, helped identify the miracle behind this preservation: a mysterious salt mixture used during their production. A tiny fragment of a scroll, just 0.04 inches thick, was analyzed under a microscope using both X-ray and Raman spectroscopy. The team discovered a unique salt mixture made up of calcium, sodium, and sulfur, a chemical composition not naturally found in the Dead Sea region. This brine-like solution was absorbed into the parchment and allowed to dry, after which another layer of salt was rubbed onto the surface. This process created a material that resisted decay for 2,000 years and had a noticeably brighter white appearance than typical parchment. The base of this parchment came from animal hides, which were carefully dehaired, defatted, scraped, and stretched. According to Professor Masik, the scroll's preservation is even more miraculous than it seems. Most of the damage occurred after their discovery, when modern researchers attempted to soften and unroll the scrolls for reading and analysis. The study also revealed that the mineral coating is hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs moisture from the air, which can damage the material once it is removed from the cave environment. This finding emphasizes the need for extreme caution in any future attempts to handle or study the Dead Sea Scrolls. Massive fossil discovery in the UK. In the enchanting landscape of the Rutland Nature Reserve in England, archaeologists uncovered a massive skeleton. Initially believed to be a dinosaur, further examination revealed it to be a sea dragon, also known as an ichthyosaur. a prehistoric marine reptile that went extinct around 90 million years ago. Measuring approximately 32 feet in length with a skull weighing nearly 2,200 pounds and stretching 6 feet long, it is considered the largest and most complete fossil of its kind ever found in the UK. Sea dragons lived in British waters about 180 million years ago, during the Jurassic period, alongside dinosaurs. They were apex predators at the top of the food chain and likely among the largest marine animals ever to exist. The specimen was discovered by chance in January 2021, when water levels at Rutland Water, the largest reservoir in England, were lowered to improve habitat conditions for local birdlife. Initially, people believed the exposed remains were old water pipes buried in the mud. Upon closer inspection, however, they appeared to be vertebrae. Local authorities were called in for verification. Soon after, a team of paleontologists carefully excavated the massive skeleton over a 2-week period in August and September. The fossil was later wrapped in wooden braces and plaster to prevent damage. It is currently undergoing cleaning, conservation, and study, with plans for public exhibition in 18 to 24 months. Anglian Water, the company managing Rutland Water, noted that 2 less complete ichthyosaur fossils had been discovered in the area back in the 1970s. However, this new find is especially noteworthy because it was discovered in an inland location, far from any current coastline. Dr. Dean Lomax, the paleontologist leading the excavation, expressed hope that this discovery will help fill in important knowledge gaps about ichthyosaurs in the UK. The mysterious circles of the Amazon. Mysterious circular formations hidden deep within the Amazon rainforest of Brazil continue to baffle researchers and captivate curious minds around the world. These enigmatic structures seem to resist all attempts to fully understand their purpose or origin, remaining a secret of the jungle. Some theories suggest the circles may have been burial sites or part of ancient defensive structures, but conclusive evidence remains elusive. Others have speculated a possible link to unidentified flying objects, UFOs, claiming the circles existed even before the Amazon rainforest itself fully formed. Another prominent theory is that they were created by ancient human civilizations who once inhabited the region. Yet the question remains, what motivated these people to construct such complex and precise structures in the heart of the jungle? Much like the mysterious Nazca lines in Peru, the true origin of the Amazonian circles is still unknown. They may be the result of natural phenomena, or perhaps they are the product of extraordinary human imagination and creativity. Despite the many unanswered questions surrounding their existence, the mysterious circles are a vivid testament to the rich cultural and historical depth of the Amazon. Until definitive answers emerge, they will remain one of the world's great unsolved mysteries, adding yet another layer of wonder and allure to the Amazon rainforest. The underwater city, beneath the Bermuda Triangle. The infamous Bermuda Triangle has baffled the world for centuries with countless mysterious disappearances. While scientists have proposed various theories to explain the strange phenomena haunting this region, the truth remains elusive. But just as the world struggled to make sense of the Bermuda Triangle, a startling underwater discovery added a whole new layer of mystery. In October 2012, the scientific community was rocked by a bold claim from a team of underwater explorers. They had discovered the remains of an ancient underwater city beneath the depths of the Bermuda Triangle. Located nearly 660 feet below sea level, the site is believed to be approximately 10,000 years old. Even more astonishing, at the very heart of the Bermuda Triangle, explorers uncovered 4 massive pyramids, along with statues resembling the Sphinx, a feature previously thought to exist only in Egypt. Upon measurement and analysis, scientists found that the size of these underwater pyramids surpasses even that of the Great Pyramids of Giza and Cheops in Egypt. Given that researchers still struggle to fully understand the origin and construction techniques of land-based pyramids, the existence of 4 colossal pyramids beneath the ocean floor has caused even greater confusion and fascination. More than a decade later, the mystery remains unsolved. Scientists continue to debate and investigate, with many believing this may be one of the greatest unsolved enigmas in human history. The mysterious stone spheres of Costa Rica. Deep within the jungles of this Central American country lie massive granite spheres, some weighing up to 26,000 pounds, astonishingly smooth and perfectly round. Could it be that over 3,000 years ago, native peoples had discovered a way to carve them with near-perfect geometry despite having very limited mathematical knowledge? Before this, archaeologists had already puzzled over similar stone formations found in Tennessee, Arizona, and giant egg-shaped rocks in California and Ohio. In his book Sons of the Sun, French professor Marcel Houmet attempted to explain the mystery of these massive stones after he discovered a stone egg in the upper Amazon basin, over 330 feet long and 100 feet tall, covered in carvings and drawings symbolizing the sun and stars. Carbon-14 dating revealed that the engravings were indeed ancient, not the work of modern pranksters. According to Marcel's calculations, the carving would have taken over 10 years of continuous work by dozens of skilled sculptors. This discovery challenged the long-held belief that such formations were natural, formed by wind and water erosion, forces of nature incapable of producing such intricate and deliberate carvings. In contrast, the mysterious stones of Costa Rica bear far fewer carvings but astonish with their nearly perfect roundness. Swiss professor Erich von Däniken was among the first to study them, featuring them in his book Return to the Stars. He considered them one of the great mysteries of Central America. Much like the question of how the ancient Egyptians lifted massive stones to build the pyramids, Erich wondered how these enormous spheres were transported, some of them placed precisely atop hills. Uniquely, Costa Rica's stone spheres are not concentrated in one area but scattered along riverbanks, deep jungles, and hilltops. Of the few dozen discovered, more than half are made of granite, while the rest were carved from volcanic rock. Their sizes vary significantly, with the heaviest estimated to weigh over 66,000 pounds. Some sit exactly at the summits of hills, seemingly placed with mathematical precision. French professor Gerard Demarque also found much smaller stones placed inside jars that had floated down rivers or were buried in the Diki Delta region. At Diki alone, he discovered 45 small spheres engraved with images of livestock arranged in a mysterious pattern. In another jungle, explorers found 2 large, perfectly round stones. To this day, no expedition has been able to film them due to their remote location. Only photographs exist, leading to skepticism within the scientific community. Some even accused Erich and Gerard of fabricating the scenes. Despite the doubts, both scholars continued their work, aiming to discover the origins and transportation methods of these massive stones. The theory that the spheres were transported was quickly dismissed, though it remains possible that the ancient Costa Ricans developed an unknown method. A second theory suggests the spheres were carved on-site, before the forest grew around them. But even if that's true, how did people with such limited knowledge of geometry create such flawlessly spherical forms? Granite is incredibly hard. Even modern artisans struggle to craft a perfectly round granite sphere with a diameter of 8.2 feet and a volume of around 280 cubic feet. So how did ancient people, with only primitive tools, manage such a feat? Their purpose is also a mystery. Costa Rican history suggests that large stones symbolized celestial bodies and the movement of the sun, essentially a kind of star calendar. Local elders say they and their ancestors have always called them sky balls. However, this idea has been rejected by many scientists who argue that ancient American civilizations never depicted the sun or stars as spherical. Historically, civilizations like the Inca represented the sun with a flat gold disc or with a flat circle and a stick symbolizing its axis. The same was true for the Maya and Aztecs. Despite efforts to investigate further, Western scientists have hit a wall. Local tribes refuse to allow outsiders deeper into the jungle, citing spiritual beliefs that only chosen individuals may enter these sacred lands. As a result, the most beautiful and massive spheres may still remain undiscovered. In 2001, British mathematician David Shearer mentioned the Costa Rican spheres in his book Mathematics of Mesoamerica, gently suggesting a possible link between their creation and ancient scientific curiosity about Earth's rotation and the day-night cycle. He noted that ancient Chinese scientists had long studied planetary movements and used various instruments to observe them. 2,000-year-old tomb, full of priceless artifacts. A tomb accidentally discovered during a sewage pipe expansion project on the Maltese Islands, located along the Mediterranean coast, revealed a world filled with vessels of all shapes and sizes. Dated to be around 2,000 years old, many of the urns contain the cremated remains of both adults and children. The tomb's grave goods were incredibly diverse. Among the most striking were amphorae, large ceramic jars with narrow necks and two handles commonly found in ancient civilizations around the Mediterranean. The burial also included elegant perfume bottles and various items believed to be for use in the afterlife. Given their age, these artifacts represent a massive archaeological treasure. The tomb belonged to the Punic people, a well-known ancient civilization in the region. According to the Malta Historical Society, several Punic tombs have been found in the area, offering valuable insights into their distinct language and culture. The Punics consisted of several semi-autonomous city-states and were known for their maritime trade, advanced glass-blowing techniques using pure transparent glass, and pottery craftsmanship. The newly uncovered artifacts are now being transported to laboratories for further analysis. A 700-year-old church. According to German legend, Rungholt was once a prosperous and sprawling town on the coast of ancient Germany, believed to have met a tragic fate as divine punishment. Scientifically, however, it is thought that the town was destroyed during a catastrophic natural disaster, a storm surge that struck the coastline in January 1362, burying the entire settlement beneath the waves. This legendary town re-emerged in a study by a team of researchers from the Center for Baltic and Scandinavian Archaeology. They pinpointed the location of a grand structure near the shoreline, where Rungholt is believed to have once stood. Using a combination of geoscientific and archaeological methods, including magnetic surveys, electromagnetic induction, and seismic measurements, the structure was identified as an ancient church, located on a foundation measuring about 131 by 16.4 feet in the middle of a settlement site stretching over 1.2 miles. According to Dr. Ruth Blankenfeld, the significance of this discovery lies in the church's role as the central building of the settlement, which, due to its scale, must have functioned as a major parish at the time. Surveys across a broader area, covering over 3.9 square miles, revealed 54 linear features belonging to various structures of the settlement, including a well-built drainage system, a coastal levee, a harbor, and two smaller churches. Archaeologists emphasize that further excavations must be carried out urgently, as the remaining traces of the settlement are fragile and may be further damaged by natural forces. The Ayud aluminum wedge. The Ayud aluminum wedge is a wedge-shaped object discovered in 1974 on the banks of the Mureș River, west of the city of Ayud, Romania. It was found 36 feet below a layer of sand, alongside the fossilized remains of two mastodons. Its appearance is similar to the head of a hammer. After being brought to the Cluj-Napoca Institute of Archaeology for analysis, it was confirmed to be made of an aluminum alloy, coated with a thin layer of oxide. The alloy consists of 12 different elements. This discovery is unusual because aluminum wasn't even identified until 1808, and it wasn't mass-produced until 1885. Furthermore, refining aluminum requires temperatures of around 1,832 degrees. The fact that this object was found in the same sediment layer as the mastodon bones suggests that it is at least 11,000 years old. Many believe it to be evidence of extraterrestrial contact with Earth. Some engineers claim that the object resembles a spacecraft landing gear component, similar to modern technology used in today's space missions. However, the scientific community maintains that the object was most likely man-made on Earth, though its exact origin and purpose remain a mystery. The sacred well of the Maya. Religion played a vital role in the spiritual life of the Maya people of the ancient city of Itza. According to ancient Maya texts, droughts were believed to be a sign of anger from the water god. To appease this deity, the people would offer a 14-year-old virgin girl to the sacred well. It was believed that once thrown into the well, the girl would become a servant of the water god, enjoying fine food, beautiful clothing, and a peaceful afterlife. However, even during times of stable weather and no droughts, Maya priests would still choose a beautiful girl to offer as a token of gratitude. People from across the region would gather at the temple beside the sacred well, which measured approximately 197 feet long and 98 feet high. Inside the temple were carvings of the water god, depicted as a feathered serpent. The chosen girl would be dressed in lavish attire and sit in the temple, accompanied by strong young men clad in golden armor, ready to escort the bride of the rain god safely to the well. The ceremony would begin at dawn. The girl, placed in a flower-adorned palanquin, would be blessed by shamans and given a magical calming drink to keep her composed. She would then be led down a 1,312 feet long path to the sacred well. Upon arrival, the young men would lift her into the air and throw her into the well. As she fell, the sound of drums would rise, the crowd would sing and dance, and the wealthy would toss gold, silver, and jewels into the well to pray for peace and protection. From the mid-16th century, as European colonizers conquered South America, cities like Chichen Itza began to fall. From that point onward, no more live sacrifices were made at the sacred well. Through archaeological research, scholars have discovered over 100 human skeletons at the bottom of the well, along with countless treasures and ancient artifacts. The ancient, gigantic, and mysterious temple with no clear answers. On a stone platform over 23 feet wide, the Temple of Jupiter in Balbeck, Lebanon, is known as the largest Roman sanctuary ever built. To this day, the identity of the architect and the exact time of construction remain a mystery. The temple is believed to have begun construction around 16 BCE and was nearly completed by 60 CE. However, it took nearly 3 centuries to create this monumental temple complex. Between 524 and 525 CE, lightning struck and damaged the building. Later, Emperor Justinian began dismantling the granite columns. During the Crusades and religious wars, these stones were repurposed to build fortifications. The temple itself measures approximately 288 feet by 157 feet, surrounded by no less than 54 massive stone columns. These columns stand 65 feet tall and have a diameter of around 6.5 feet. The horizontal beams overhead are 16 feet high. Inside the temple, the walls are tall, and columns made of cedar wood support the large roof. The gutters are designed in the shape of lion heads, designed to drain water when snow melts. In the early spring, the scene is especially breathtaking as the water from the melting snow cascades down from a height of 82 feet. The temple was built to honor Jupiter Heliopolitanus, the supreme god in ancient Roman religion and mythology. The temple was constructed on a terrace 42 feet high, made from 24 massive monolithic stones, with the smallest stones weighing about 330 tons. 3 stones at the western end measure no less than 62 feet by 13 feet by 10 feet and weigh around 880 tons each. Over time, only 6 columns on the southern side of the temple remain, along with the fixed horizontal beams above. The architecture in the south remains nearly perfect, while the northern side has been nearly stripped bare due to harsh winter winds. The remaining horizontal beams are supported by 6 stone columns, each weighing up to 132 tons, with one column weighing over 220 tons. The 5,000-year-old giant wheel on the plateau. Located in the plains but largely ignored for decades, the strange megalithic stone structure in the shape of a wheel near Lake Galilee, Israel, remains a mystery to scientists. According to ancient origins, this ancient monument consists of gigantic stone circles that date back to the early Bronze Age. However, the creators and the reason for these stone circles remain unclear. The ancient ruins, known as Rujum el-Hiri in Arabic, meaning the heap of wildcats, are called Gigel Rephaim in Hebrew, meaning the wheel of the giants. This name is associated with the biblical Rephaim giants, who were believed to have constructed the complex monument. Scientists estimate that this monument is around 5,000 years old. Dating from the early Bronze Age, around 3000, 2700 BCE, it could have existed around the same time as the prehistoric Stonehenge in England. Aerial surveys conducted by archaeologists in the late 1960s revealed the full scale and shape of the site, showing the upper surface of the structure as the ruins of collapsed stone walls. Hundreds of stone structures lie scattered across the expansive fields. Among the 5 to 9 massive stone circles surrounding the central burial area, the largest circle measures over 500 feet in diameter and stands 3.3 to 8.2 feet tall. The circles are incomplete, some connected by short walls, forming spoke-like patterns. These walls have a relatively consistent thickness, ranging from 10.5 to 10.8 feet. However, archaeologists have yet to confirm whether the burial mound at the center of the site was built at the same time as the stone circles. Very few valuable artifacts have been found at Rujum el-Hiri, except for a Bronze Age pin, possibly due to the site's history of looting. Scholars believe the central stone mound, feet high and 66 to 82 feet in diameter, once held jewelry and weapons. Excavations of the surrounding chambered rooms have revealed no artifacts, suggesting that the rooms were not used for storage or habitation. One hypothesis about the purpose of the site is its astronomical alignment. On the summer solstice, June, and winter solstice, December, the sun rises in alignment with gaps in the stone circles. It's believed that the site was used for astronomical observation or worship of the sun before the burial mound was constructed, with sunlight being blocked by the monument on special days. Despite a burial mound at the center of the wheel, no human remains have been found. Dr. Rami Arav, professor of religion and philosophy at University of Nebraska, speculates that this could be due to the practice of filtering bones through birds or wild animals. The bones were later collected and placed in boxes by the local people. To date, the question of who built this monument remains complicated. Scientists estimate that the construction of this giant monument took over 25,000 man-days of work. Additionally, gathering and transporting the stones would have required a significant support system, which would have been difficult for nomadic communities, making the origin of this site still a huge mystery for scientists and archaeologists. The 5,000-year-old stone labyrinth by the White Sea. The Solovetsky Islands are a group of small islands located in the Onega Bay in the White Sea region of Russia. This remote and isolated area unexpectedly hides many archaeological sites that date back thousands of years and remain full of mysteries. The Solovetsky Islands could be called the land of labyrinths, as 35 stone labyrinths, estimated to be over 5,000 years old, have been found. Locals refer to these structures as Babylons. Among the labyrinths discovered, the most notable are those on Bolshoi Zayatsky Island, which contains 14 labyrinths in an area of just about 0.15 square miles on the island. These labyrinths are very well preserved and have become a familiar research site for archaeologists. However, to this day, all information about the construction of these ancient and remarkable structures remains elusive. It is impossible to determine which power or civilization was capable of investing such considerable effort and intellect to create these strange and mysterious structures in the early days of humanity on Earth, or the purpose behind their creation. Scattered across the island are many unnatural piles of stones, some of which even contain pieces of bones. Other stone structures have also been discovered here, including a fairly complete model of the sun with radiating beams of light. Researchers believe that the existence of ancient labyrinth structures is closely tied to spiritual beliefs, potentially symbolizing a gateway between the world of the living and the underworld, a place where the souls of the dead reside. The labyrinths on the island are made of solid stone walls, constructed using stones from local quarries. These labyrinths have a spiral structure with concentric circles. The smallest labyrinth has a diameter of about 20 feet, while the largest is approximately 83 feet in diameter. Some labyrinths are designed with two interlocking spirals, resembling two coiled snakes with their heads meeting at the center. The entrances to these labyrinths are primarily located to the south. Despite having 5 different variations in their structure, all the labyrinths have only one entrance, which is also the only exit. Several theories have been proposed to explain why the prehistoric settlers of the Solovetsky Islands dedicated so much effort to building these labyrinths. In the 1970s, a leading hypothesis by Gurina suggested that the labyrinths were created as fish traps, though what exactly they were used for remains a mystery. The deepest underwater cave in the world? On January 10, 2018, a group of underwater explorers, Gran Acuífero Maya, GAM, discovered 2 large underwater caves in Tulum, Mexico. What's remarkable is that both caves are interconnected, forming the largest underwater cave system in the world. The search had been ongoing for a decade, and it was certainly no easy task. Cenotes is the term the Maya people used to describe the natural sinkholes found in the Riviera Maya region. These openings were created by the collapse of caves, exposing the groundwater beneath. 14 years ago, German explorer Robert Schmittner and the GM team began their search with the hope of discovering an underwater mystery. They traveled to a small town in Tulum, where they purchased maps of Sac Actun and Dos Ojos. Upon examining the maps, they noticed that within one cave, another cave appeared, but the explorers could not find the junction between the two. Despite the advanced mapping technology available today, the labyrinthine tunnels inside were extremely complicated, and the steep, winding rock walls presented a significant obstacle to the search. This is why the GM team decided to dive in themselves to explore the caves. Ox-Bel-Ha, located in the southern part of Tulum, is known as the largest underwater cave, stretching 167 miles in length, while Sak Aktun follows closely at 164 miles and Kukbal at 58 miles. Within the caves, the team found remnants from the ancient Mayan civilization, including human bones, stairways, stone paintings, stone walls, and many ceramic objects. These findings will provide archaeologists with an opportunity to gain a deeper understanding of this ancient civilization. One of the most remarkable discoveries was the realization that this cave system was inhabited by people around 30,000 to 40,000 years ago. The remaining artifacts, such as the bones of deer, bears, elephants, and giant sloths, along with various signs of early human life on the peninsula, suggest a connection with other caves beneath the region. The team continues to explore and search for more tunnels beneath the sea. The impregnable ancient fortress of Masada. Masada was originally a fortress built by the Jews located in Israel, to the southwest of the Dead Sea. Most of the fortress was constructed during the reign of King Herod the Great, from 40 BCE to 30 BCE. When initially constructed, Masada was considered impregnable, perched atop a high plateau with steep rock walls and only 3 narrow paths leading up. To the east, the fortress overlooks the Dead Sea, sitting 1,300 feet above sea level, while the western side rises over 330 feet. King Herod carefully studied the location before choosing this site, as it offered a wide, expansive view of the surrounding area, extending for several miles. In fact, the fortress was built on top of a mountain, not on the mountain itself. The entire fortress complex included various buildings such as warehouses, stables, residences, and palaces, some of which were carved directly into the rock. King Herod also planned for a siege situation and had numerous food storage facilities constructed, along with 12 water reservoirs that could hold tens of thousands of cubic meters of rainwater. In the 4th century BCE, after King Herod's death, the fortress of Masada was first besieged during a Jewish revolt against the Roman occupying forces. Later, the Roman Jewish historian Flavius Josephus documented the siege of Masada in his work, The Jewish War. Between 70 and 73 CE, after the destruction of the Temple in Jerusalem, under the command of Flavius Silva, 973 members of the Zealot movement used Masada as their base to resist an overwhelming force of 15,000 Roman soldiers. To begin the siege, General Flavius Silva built a 2.5-mile-long wall surrounding the mountain to isolate the fortress. He also erected 8 military camps outside the fortress, the remains of which still exist today. Silva's forces then constructed a large earthen ramp leading to the western wall of the fortress, through which they were able to bring weapons into the fortress. Nearly 1,000 people fought fiercely against the Roman army of 15,000 soldiers, but ultimately, they could not overcome the superior numbers. In the end, the surviving defenders chose suicide over surrender. The story of the Masada siege has since become a symbol of the Jewish people's desire for freedom. After the siege, the Masada fortress was abandoned until 1838, when it was rediscovered by historians. Excavations and studies primarily took place in the 1950s-1960s. Although the fortress had been abandoned for a long period, many of its structures have been well preserved. Some key buildings are still undergoing restoration and preservation. Masada is not only a site of great cultural and historical significance, but also an essential destination for international tourists visiting the Dead Sea, the Negev Desert, and the Ein Gedi Oasis. Archaeologists open a 5,000-year-old tomb in Siberia. What they found inside shocked them. In the desolate, frozen wilderness of Siberia, where time seems to stand still and nature has retained its raw, ancient harshness for thousands of years, archaeologists have recently announced the discovery of a 5,000-year-old burial site containing the remains of a mysterious birdman. He was laid to rest wearing an extraordinary outfit made from more than 50 bird beaks, believed to be from herons or cranes. This discovery has sparked curiosity within the scientific community and opened up a wealth of intriguing theories about ancient beliefs, rituals, and social hierarchies in the remote civilizations that once inhabited Siberia. The burial was unearthed at the Ust-Tartas archaeological site in the Novosibirsk region of western Siberia, under the leadership of researcher Lilia Kobaleva and her team from the Institute of Archaeology and Ethnography in Novosibirsk. When the layers of permafrost were peeled back, the team was stunned to find the long-decomposed body of a man, still clearly marked by a garment composed entirely of bird beaks. These beaks were arranged along the back of his skull and extended down his neck, resembling an intricately crafted ceremonial collar. According to Kobaleva, the beaks were likely once attached to fabric, animal hide, or natural fiber ropes, forming a spiritually significant ritual garment. What astonished the archaeologists even further was that the beaks weren't placed randomly. They were deliberately arranged, suggesting an elaborate burial ceremony, possibly tied to spiritual rites or indicating the man's special social status. Based on these unique features, researchers have theorized that the birdman may have been a shaman, spiritual leader, or high-ranking religious figure of the Odinov culture, an ancient community that lived in the Siberian region around 5,000 years ago. In many ancient belief systems, birds were considered sacred beings, symbolizing the link between the heavens and the earth, between humanity and the spirit world. Herons and cranes, frequently found in northern legends, were seen as symbols of wisdom, rebirth, and the ability to move between worlds. Burying this man with over 50 bird beaks may have reflected the belief that he could continue his spiritual role even after death. The research team noted that their next steps will be extremely complex and require meticulous care. Separating each individual beak to determine precisely how they were attached and identifying any remaining supporting materials could take several months. This work holds the key not only to understanding this one-of-a-kind outfit, but also to gaining deeper insight into the craftsmanship, artistry, and aesthetic sensibilities of people from that era. However, the mystery doesn't end there. Near the birdman's grave, experts discovered a second burial containing the remains of 2 children and 1 adult male. The first child is estimated to have died around the age of 5, and the second at about 10. This raises a haunting question. What was their relationship to the birdman? Could this be evidence of a sacrificial ritual, a communal funeral, or were these simply unrelated individuals buried nearby due to spiritual beliefs? Of particular interest, next to the adult male in the second grave, archaeologists found a mysterious object shaped like a pair of eyeglasses. This immediately stirred curiosity and skepticism among the scientific community, as the existence of an optically related artifact during the Middle Stone Age is almost unimaginable. Experts are currently analyzing this object to determine its exact material, purpose, and whether it might have been a ceremonial item or held symbolic significance. The entire discovery at Ust-Tartas is opening a new chapter in Siberian archaeology, a region where ancient cultures appear to hold countless untold stories. From the beak-crafted ceremonial outfit to the strange artifacts buried with the deceased, these findings seem like incomplete pieces of a deep ancient narrative. They compel us to ask, what did people of that era believe? How did they live? And just how central was spirituality in their lives? As the frozen earth slowly yields its secrets, the journey to uncover the identity and beliefs of our ancestors becomes more compelling than ever. Don't you think so? This is truly an extraordinary discovery, but it's not the only one. In recent years, archaeologists have made many other mysterious and fascinating discoveries, some even bordering on the eerie. So, what were those discoveries? Let's continue this journey together in the next part. The tomb filled with pure gold in China. You might find it hard to believe that in the heart of modern Nanjing, China, a recent archaeological discovery has sent shockwaves through the scientific community and captivated history enthusiasts alike. A 500-year-old tomb from the Ming Dynasty has been unearthed, and its owner is none other than Lady Mei, a remarkable woman whom the media has respectfully dubbed the superwoman of the feudal era. Why such a title? Because what Lady Mei accomplished in her lifetime far surpassed the traditional limitations of a woman who lived half a millennium ago. According to inscriptions found on 2 stone steles within the tomb, Lady Mei was one of the 3 wives of the regional governor of Yunnan, a vast territory in southwestern China. After her husband's sudden death, and while her eldest son was still too young to assume leadership, Lady Mei took charge of the family and the region, managing affairs and maintaining order during a time of turmoil. She wasn't just a capable administrator, she was also a brilliant strategist. Historical Chinese records indicate that she offered crucial military advice, helping to preserve peace and stability in Yunnan, a region frequently threatened by rebellious tribes. Her leadership not only earned her the respect of the people, but also instilled caution in rival factions. When Lady Mei passed away in 1474 at the age of 45, the entire region of Yunnan mourned deeply. She was buried with the utmost honor and reverence, as befitted a woman who had borne the burden of an entire region during one of history's most turbulent times. Now, centuries later, her tomb has once again stunned the world. Though time and water damage have partially eroded the tomb's structure, Lady Mei's remains have been remarkably preserved. But what truly shocked researchers were the treasures found inside. Intricately crafted perfume containers, hairpins made of solid gold, bracelets, rings, and jewelry inlaid with jade and rare rubies. These artifacts reflect Lady Mei's noble status, immense wealth, and refined taste. However, behind the glitter of gold and gemstones lies a life filled with sorrow. Historical records reveal that Lady Mei married at the age of 15 and remained with her husband until his death. Her greatest loss, though, was the death of her infant son, Mu Zong, who passed away at only 10 months old, shortly after her husband died. That devastating loss thrust Lady Mei into a position where she had to face immense challenges alone, leading both her family and the vast territory her husband had left behind. Today, the discovery of her tomb holds not only archaeological significance, but also serves as a gateway for future generations to better understand the role and status of women in feudal Chinese society, a society often viewed as patriarchal. Lady Mei stands as a vivid testament that, regardless of the era, talent and resilience can shine through and leave a lasting mark on history. Currently, experts are meticulously studying Lady Mei's remains to learn more about her life, health, and the mysteries that still surround this extraordinary woman. It is hoped that in the near future, they will be able to provide more definitive answers. The female mummy and enormous treasure in an ancient Peruvian tomb. In the sun-scorched and mystical land of El Castillo de Huarmey, roughly 175 miles north of Lima, Peru, archaeologists recently unearthed a royal tomb dating back over 200 years. This ancient burial site belongs to the Wari Empire, a pre-Incan civilization that once dominated the Andes Mountains long before the rise of the Incas. This tomb is more than just a final resting place. It is a mysterious gateway into the past, where power, ritual, and untold secrets lie buried, waiting to be rediscovered. As the excavation team dug deep into the earth, they uncovered not just one, but dozens of skeletal remains, mummies, and precious treasures buried alongside key figures of this lost civilization. The most astonishing discovery was that of 3 female mummies believed to be queens from the Wari Empire's highest aristocracy. These women were buried with opulent offerings, golden and silver artifacts, and exquisitely painted ceramics. Other skeletons were found wrapped in burial cloths, an important tradition in Wari culture signifying sacred and formal burial practices. However, not all those buried were of noble status. Archaeologists discovered 6 skeletons that had not been wrapped, instead lying awkwardly in the coffins of others. This strange detail led researchers to theorize that these individuals may have been sacrificial victims, chosen to accompany the deceased into the afterlife. Human sacrifice was not uncommon in ancient civilizations, and this possibility adds to the mystery and ceremonial weight of the royal tomb. Miloš Giersch, the co-leader of the excavation project, shared an emotional reflection with Reuters. For the first time in archaeological history, we found a royal tomb of this age. It's a true archaeological treasure, not just for its material value, but for the historical and cultural significance it holds. To archaeologists, this discovery is like uncovering a missing piece of the Andean historical puzzle. While much is known about the mighty Inca Empire, its predecessors like the Wari have remained largely enigmatic. This find not only deepens our understanding of the Wari's social hierarchy, rituals, and art, but also raises an important question about the role of women in ancient civilizations. The fact that 3 queens were buried with such grandeur, surrounded by treasure, proves that women in the Wari Empire may have held significant political and religious power, not merely serving as figures behind the scenes. The excavation is still ongoing, and no one knows what other secrets lie beneath these ancient layers of earth and stone. But one thing is certain, with every shovelful of soil, another vivid and mysterious chapter of history is being rewritten, alive, authentic, and utterly captivating. A one-of-a-kind bio-armor. Around 2,500 years ago, a man in northwestern China was buried wearing an intricately crafted suit of armor made from over 5,000 leather scales arranged like overlapping fish scales. The armor, resembling an apron-style vest, was designed to be quickly put on without the help of others. Patrick Wertmann, a researcher at the Swiss Institute for Asian and Oriental Studies, said that this was lightweight, form-fitting defensive wear, highly effective for soldiers of the time. The research team described the armor as an early example of biomimicry, technology inspired by nature. In this case, the overlapping leather scales worked much like fish scales to reinforce human skin against blows, stabs, and arrows. The armor was unearthed at the Yanghai Cemetery, an archaeological site near the city of Turfan, located on the edge of the Taklamakan Desert in the Tarim Basin, far western China. Local villagers discovered the ancient cemetery in the early 1970s. Since 2003, archaeologists have excavated over 500 tombs there, including the one containing the leather armor. Their findings suggest that the site was used continuously for nearly 1,400 years, from the 12th century BCE to the 2nd century CE. Although these ancient people left no written records, Chinese historians referred to the inhabitants of the Tarim Basin as the Cheshi people. They lived in tents, practiced agriculture, raised cattle and sheep, rode horses, and were skilled archers. The leather armor is considered an incredibly rare find. The only other well-preserved ancient leather scale armor known to exist was discovered in the tomb of Egyptian pharaoh Tutankhamun, dating back to the 14th century BCE. That armor, too, has a known origin and excellent preservation, making the Chinese discovery all the more remarkable. Ruins of a 13-ton prehistoric megabeast, hunted down by early humans. Recently, archaeologists in Israel once again shook the scientific world with the excavation of a approximately 8.2 feet long tusk belonging to a massive prehistoric creature, a true megabeast that roamed the earth about 500,000 years ago. While this species has been extinct for hundreds of thousands of years, the discovery forces us to rethink the relationship between long-lost animal species and the ones that still exist today. This enormous tusk is not only a rare and invaluable fossil, but also opens a new chapter in our understanding of the evolution of large mammals. According to Sci News, the tusk belonged to a now extinct species known as the straight-tusked elephant, a close relative of the modern elephants we know today. These giants dwarfed even the largest African elephants alive today. The straight-tusked elephant stood up to 13 feet tall and weighed around 13 tons, with tusks reaching lengths of over 8 feet. In comparison, African elephants weigh around 6 tons, and Asian elephants weigh between 3 and 4 tons. By every measure, this was a genuine super beast. However, despite having survived for hundreds of thousands of years underground, the tusk is incredibly fragile and must be handled with extreme care. Exposure to air and sunlight could cause it to rapidly deteriorate. Paleontologists are treating it as a priceless artifact, because without proper preservation, it could be destroyed in a matter of hours or days. This highlights why fossil excavation and research are both incredibly challenging and profoundly awe-inspiring. The story became even more intriguing when archaeologists realized that this tusk was not the only significant find in the area. Initial studies suggest that straight-tusked elephants lived in the region as far back as 800,000 years ago, becoming extinct around 400,000 years ago. This tusk, dated to about 500,000 years old, is the largest and most complete fossilized tusk ever discovered in Israel, or anywhere in the Near East. Dr. Ionir Malevsky, who led the research team from the Israel Antiquities Authority (IAA) and Tel Aviv University, explained that during a previous excavation in the same region, scientists had found additional remains of the same species, such as parts of a skull, ribs, and teeth, alongside prehistoric human tools like hand axes and chopping implements. This has led researchers to theorize that early humans, though likely not yet Homo sapiens, may have hunted and killed these giant elephants. If proven, this interaction would offer a vivid example of early human-animal dynamics, showcasing the role our ancestors played in shaping the prehistoric ecosystem. What's even more fascinating is the possibility that this excavation site holds much more than what has been uncovered so far. It could be a treasure trove of archaeological data, filled with clues about life on Earth before the rise of modern humans. With each new discovery, we're reminded that Earth still guards many of its secrets, waiting patiently beneath layers of soil and stone for us to unearth them. So, this isn't just a story about a long-lost species, it's a bridge between the ancient and modern worlds, shedding light on both the evolution of large mammals and the early presence of humans. The mysteries of the ancient world remain endlessly captivating, and each excavation reveals yet another piece of the great historical puzzle of our planet. The desolate ruins of Gonur-Tepe. More than 4,000 years ago, the fortified settlement of Gonur-Tepe may have been one of the rare civilizations to flourish before being buried for centuries beneath the sands of the Karakum Desert. Discovered by Soviet archaeologists around 40 years ago, Gonur-Tepe, once home to thousands and a bustling regional hub, has gradually revealed its secrets with each summer excavation. The site's vast scale, covering over 74 acres, can only be fully appreciated from the air. From above, the ancient structures resemble a labyrinth nestled in the desert, enclosed by tall, fortified walls. Gonur-Tepe was the centerpiece of a network of towns and settlements spread across the Murghab River Delta, which once flowed from the mountains of Afghanistan into present-day Turkmenistan. Around 2000 BCE, Gonur-Tepe was the main settlement of the Margush or Margiana region, home to one of the most advanced yet least known Bronze Age civilizations. Archaeological findings here suggest that artisans of the time had developed sophisticated craftsmanship. They could smelt metal, forge gold and silver ingots, craft religious artifacts, and skillfully carve bone and stone. Just a few hundred kilometers from Gonur-Tepe lies another archaeological mystery: the ruins of Merv, a once crucial city of the Persian Empire that reached its zenith under Turkic rule in the 12th century CE. Merv fell into decline after being sacked by the Mongols in 1221 during one of history's deadliest conquests. One of the greatest treasures of Merv is the mausoleum of Seljuk Sultan Sanjar, which has been remarkably well preserved. With a dome diameter of over 56 feet, it is considered a revolutionary architectural achievement. Its dome design predates the works of Renaissance genius Filippo Brunelleschi by over 300 years. Today, it is estimated that the region contains 354 archaeological sites, and 95% of them remain unstudied. With so many secrets still hidden beneath the desert sands, it's clear that the ancient civilizations of Central Asia have only begun to tell their stories. The mysteries of the Egyptian Sphinx. Since its discovery by mankind, the Great Sphinx has left behind an enduring legacy of wonder and countless unsolved mysteries that have baffled generations. Napoleon himself was said to have stared at the statue in awe and fear. Archaeologists, explorers, historians, and tourists alike have tried to unravel its secrets, yet the Sphinx remains one of the most enigmatic monuments of the ancient world. Even in our modern age of science and technology, questions surrounding its purpose, construction methods, and original intent remain unanswered. These enduring mysteries gave rise to the legend of the Riddle of the Sphinx, a term that captures the intrigue and ambiguity surrounding the monument. Carved from limestone, the colossal Sphinx features the head of a human and the body of a lion, lying in a reclining position as if guarding the temple of Pharaoh Khafra on the Giza Plateau, along the west bank of the Nile River. It is the largest monolithic statue in the world, measuring approximately 241 feet long and 66.3 feet tall. The Sphinx is believed to have been constructed during Egypt's Old Kingdom, under the reign of Pharaoh Khafra. The statue's original name is unknown, as it is never mentioned in any surviving texts from the Old Kingdom. It wasn't until the New Kingdom that the statue was referred to as Hor-em-Akhet, a name preserved in the dream stele of Pharaoh Thutmose IV. The term Sphinx itself was coined around 2,000 years after the monument was built, due to its resemblance to the mythical Greek creature with a lion's body, a woman's head, and eagle wings. Contrary to popular belief, The Sphinx is not a constructed building, but rather a massive sculpture carved directly from a single outcrop of bedrock in a quarry that supplied materials for the pyramids and nearby temples. Between the blocks, a binding material similar to cement was used to protect against erosion and the ravages of time. The techniques used to carve the statue remain a matter of debate. Some suggest that it was shaped using chisels, hammers, and saws. Others propose more unorthodox theories, such as erosion via high-pressure water streams delivered through leather hoses. But if water was used, where did it come from? Supporters of this theory argue that thousands of years ago, the Giza Plateau was fertile and well irrigated, not the arid desert we see today. However, this hypothesis is not widely accepted within the scientific community. Instead, scholars argue that the statue's erosion was caused by rainwater, not wind-blown sand. During the reign of Thutmose IV, the Sphinx was already buried up to its neck in sand, and climate scientists believe that the last period of sustained rainfall in the region occurred over 6,000 years ago. If this theory were proven, it would mean the Sphinx was carved as early as 6000 BCE, far earlier than current Egyptological consensus. Yet mainstream Egyptologists consider this idea speculative and scientifically unreliable, especially since it contradicts fundamental principles of both archaeology and Egyptology. The mysterious Volgograd discs. A team of Russian researchers recently discovered several disc-shaped stone objects resembling flying saucers in a remote region of Volgograd, buried about 131 feet underground. What makes the finding even more remarkable is that these objects are coated with a layer of tungsten, a hard gray metal known for its extremely high melting point and frequently used in aerospace engineering and missile technology. The origin of these mysterious discs remains unknown. Back in 2015, the team uncovered several similar UFO-shaped rocks, but the latest find, a large, flat, circular stone, was significantly bigger than all previous discoveries. Researchers argue that these peculiar stones are not the result of natural geological processes. Instead, they believe the objects may be thousands or even millions of years old. Due to their uncanny resemblance to flying saucers, the discovery has fueled speculation about extraterrestrial life. Famous UFO hunter Scott Waring suggested that these objects are evidence of alien presence on Earth. In a recent discussion, Waring claimed that the stones closely resemble a disk he once saw in a NASA photo taken on Mars. His remarks have stirred significant debate within the scientific community. The most recently discovered disk has since been transported to the Jernovsky Museum, where it is currently undergoing scientific analysis. Researchers aim to determine its exact age and the composition of the materials from which it was made. While its true origin remains a mystery, the discovery adds yet another puzzling piece to the ongoing search for clues about Earth's ancient past, and perhaps its contact with worlds beyond our own. The mysterious network of straight lines in the Bolivian desert. Aerial views of the desert in western Bolivia reveal thousands of perfectly straight lines etched into the earth more than 1,000 years ago. Yet researchers still cannot pinpoint the exact age or purpose of these lines. Known as the Sajama lines, these massive geoglyphs lie beneath the shadow of Nevado Sajama, Bolivia's highest volcano, and stretch across an area of about 8,700 square miles, roughly 15 times larger than the Nazca Lines region in neighboring Peru. Thousands of lines crisscross and overlap one another, forming what appears to be a chaotic network. However, there's no doubt they were intentionally created. The total combined length of the lines exceeds 9,940 miles, making the Sajama lines one of the largest artworks on Earth, according to some observers. Still, the primary purpose behind the creation of the Sajama lines may not have been artistic expression. Some archaeologists argue that the lines were ancient pathways, guiding people to water sources in an arid and unforgiving environment. Another theory suggests the lines were pilgrimage routes, as the network connects numerous shrines, cemeteries, and small settlements. Each line is only a few meters wide, about 6 to 10 feet, and was created by scraping away the oxidized, dark surface layer of the desert floor to expose a lighter-colored subsurface. This same technique was used to create the Nazca lines, although those depict animals, plants, and geometric figures, rather than the abstract linear forms found at Sajama. Some scholars speculate there may be a connection between the Sajama and Nazca lines. perhaps both were produced by related or culturally linked civilizations. According to a 2016 study, the most likely creators of the Sajama lines were the Karangas people, who lived in the southern Andes between 1000 and 1476 AD. Most experts believe the lines were made during this period. However, the true origin and purpose of the Sajama lines remain a mystery to this day. Pharaoh Khufu's 4,600-year-old solar boat. At a museum in Egypt stands a boat nearly 144 feet long and 4,600 years old, making it one of the oldest vessels ever discovered. It once belonged to Pharaoh Khufu, the builder of the Great Pyramid. In 1954, an Egyptian archaeologist unearthed the massive, handcrafted boat buried beside Khufu's pyramid. Archaeologists spent 20 months excavating and reassembling the boat from 1,224 separate wooden pieces, restoring it to the form we see today. An astonishing 95% of the wood used in the boat was cedar, most likely Lebanese cedar. Ancient workers skillfully sawed raw timber into planks, then shaped and polished them with tools made from copper and flint. The craftsmanship of the deck and hull reflects the high level of expertise achieved by these early artisans. More than half a century after its discovery, scholars still debate the boat's original purpose. Some believe it was a solar bark, a vessel for Khufu to sail across the sky as the sun god Ra on his daily journey. Others suggest it was a funerary boat, used to transport Khufu's body on the Nile to his tomb in Giza, or possibly for a symbolic final pilgrimage to sacred sites. Like so much surrounding this grand and mysterious artifact, the true function of the boat remains an unsolved mystery. The cemetery on Red Square, near the Kremlin Wall. In Moscow, Red Square was once not only a bustling hub of trade and commerce, but also served as a common parish cemetery where locals were freely buried. According to Orthodox Christian tradition, a person was laid to rest beside their parish church. However, this practice gradually faded, and by the early 20th century, funerals near the Kremlin had essentially ceased. During the October Revolution, the assault on the Kremlin in Moscow resulted in significantly more casualties than the takeover of the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg. As a result, when the revolution ended, a mass funeral was held for the first time on Red Square. On November 8, 1917, two mass graves were dug between the Kremlin Wall and the tram tracks, stretching from Nikolsky Gate to Spassky Gate. 2 days later, 238 coffins containing the remains of revolutionary fighters who had died during the battle at the Kremlin were laid to rest. Historians have been able to identify 57 of them by name, while the rest remain unknown. In March 1918, the Bolshevik government relocated to Moscow and made the Kremlin its headquarters. At the same time, Red Square became a revolutionary cemetery, and group burials continued. By 1927, an additional 15 mass graves had been dug, containing not only victims of the Civil War, but also those who had died in other disasters. Later on, individual burials were reserved for prominent Bolshevik party members, starting with Yakov Sverdlov, who died from the Spanish flu. In total, of individual graves are located on Red Square. The last person to be buried there was Konstantin Chernenko, the longtime Kremlin official and General Secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. Lesser-known revolutionaries were cremated, and their ashes were interred in the Kremlin Wall, in an area now known as the Wall of the Communards. Initially, memorial plaques with short inscriptions were placed in the wall's niches, but later only names and dates were included. There are 114 such niches in the Kremlin Wall. In 1984, the ashes of Marshal Dmitry Ustinov, Minister of Defense, were also placed there. 10,000-year-old rock art depicting aliens. Historians and archaeologists in India believe that prehistoric people living in caves around 10,000 years ago created rock paintings of aliens and UFOs on cliff walls in Karama, located in Chhattisgarh, India. These ancient paintings depict humanoid figures resembling extraterrestrials, wearing suits similar to those of astronauts. Some of the drawings include flying saucers, complete with antennae and 3 legs. Notably, these images were created around 10,000 years ago, a time when space travel was not even imaginable in the wildest dreams of ancient humans. Archaeologists found that the paintings were made using natural pigments, which have remained remarkably unfaded over tens of thousands of years. However, these are not the only ancient artworks believed to reference extraterrestrial beings. Similar findings have emerged across the globe. For example, at Legends Rock in Wyoming, over 250 petroglyphs have been discovered, many of which are considered evidence that ancient humans may have encountered extraterrestrial beings. Another mysterious drawing found at Cayuse Creek in Idaho depicts a creature seated inside a UFO, with trails of smoke streaming from the back of the craft. According to archaeologists, prehistoric people may have actually seen aliens in real life and chose to record those encounters using the most primitive form of expression available to them: rock art. To this day, these interpretations remain highly controversial within the scientific community, sparking ongoing debate and curiosity. The vanishing village in the Dubai desert. Dubai is famous for its wealth and abundant oil reserves. However, beyond its affluence, this place also fascinates many with the mysterious legends found in its desert. Unlike the bustling, prosperous city, the desert in Dubai is quiet, sparsely populated, and of course, you won't find billionaires or sports cars here. One particularly mysterious place in the desert is a village called Guigui Town, though it is more commonly referred to as the Ghost Town. True to its name, this place is very enigmatic. During the day, everything appears normal, but by night, the entire village seems to disappear, with no trace left behind. To the naked eye, there are almost no clues, which causes great fear among the local residents. This mystery has piqued the interest of the scientific community. Many experts and scholars have visited in hopes of finding an explanation, but the enigma remains unsolved. Initially, visitors were skeptical, but after witnessing it firsthand, everyone was left astounded by the strange occurrence. Some people believe it must be an illusion, while others think the sand might bury the village at night. There are various other theories as well. According to research, Guigui Town has existed for a long time, and people once lived there. However, due to resource exploitation and environmental damage, the area was severely devastated, forcing the residents to leave. Due to the sparse population and the fact that sand fills the village at night and clears up during the day, science has yet to provide a perfect explanation for why the village doesn't sink into the sand during daylight hours. Over time, this vanishing village has intrigued many and gradually turned into a tourist attraction. Naturally, visitors only come during the day and dare not stay when night falls. The ancient city beneath the lake. Tian Island Lake is an artificial lake located in Chunan County, Zhejiang Province, China. The lake was formed in 1959 when the government decided to build a hydroelectric station on the Tan River, which resulted in submerging a magnificent ancient city at the lake's bottom. Tian Island Lake is famous for its majestic beauty, but few are aware that the splendor doesn't only exist on the surface, but also lies hidden beneath the water. In 2001, experts discovered several architectural structures at the bottom of the lake at a depth of 131 feet, including 265 arches, entrance gates, and bridge works. This structure is called Lion City, due to the nearby Mount Wuxi, which lies just behind the city. Lion City has 5 gates, each with a large tower, covering an area equivalent to 62 football fields. Before being submerged, Lion City had 6 main stone-paved roads that connected all the corners of the city, and 290,000 people had to be relocated from the area where their ancestors had lived for over 1,300 years. According to National Geographic, when divers reach a depth of 92 feet, light can no longer penetrate. The lights used by divers only illuminate about 6.5 feet. Despite being submerged at a depth of 85 to 131 feet, the city's architecture remains largely intact, with even the wooden beams and stairs still in place. Experts believe that the surrounding water environment has protected the city, preventing significant erosion of its structures. However, the true answer to this mystery remains elusive, and scientists continue to search for an explanation. 16-million-year-old giant spider fossil. Australian scientists recently discovered the fossil of a large spider species dating back between 11 million and 16 million years. This is the largest spider fossil ever recorded in Australia and the first fossil from the Barachelidae family to be found worldwide. The fossil was discovered at the McGrath's Flat excavation site in central New South Wales, Australia. a region famous for its unique fossils of various animal and plant species from the Miocene epoch, 23 million to 5 million years ago. Scientists say the newly discovered spider fossil resembles modern species from the trapdoor spider genus, but is 5 times larger than current species in this genus. Dr. McCurry stated that this discovery is scientifically significant because up to now, only 4 spider fossils have been found across the Australian continent, making it difficult for scientists to study the evolutionary process of this species. The fossil provides new insights into the extinction processes of spider species and helps fill the knowledge gap regarding the historical processes of the Australian continent. The closest relatives of this fossil currently live in the humid rainforests stretching from Singapore to Papua New Guinea. This suggests that these species once thrived in a similar environment in Australia but became extinct as the continent became drier. Using electron microscopy, the research team was able to examine fine details on the spider's claws and the stiff hairs on its feet, legs, and abdomen. These stiff hairs, which resemble bristles, may have multiple functions. They likely help the spider detect chemicals and vibrations, protect it from attackers, and even produce sounds. 10 million square feet underground city. A massive excavation project that lasted for 9 years has uncovered a multi-level underground city covering an area of up to 10 million square feet, capable of housing thousands of people, hidden beneath the ancient ruins of Zerzavon. The excavation also revealed defensive structures in the form of walls and watchtowers surrounding the old castle. Meanwhile, the mysterious city beneath the castle contains both a church and a water canal extending for at least a few miles. Additionally, archaeologists uncovered an Assyrian-era seal engraved on a stone block that dates back 3,000 years. Zerzavon Castle itself, also known as Samachi Fortress, has a rich and diverse history. Originally built as a border outpost for the Roman Empire in the 3rd century AD, the castle was later expanded, modified, and rebuilt over the centuries, primarily between the 3rd and 5th centuries. During peaceful times, about 1,500 people, including soldiers and civilians, lived within the castle's walls. However, during periods of conflict, the population within the castle grounds swelled to 10,000 people, including civilians seeking refuge. This may have been the origin of the mysterious underground city, which was gradually renovated and developed. Around 6 residential areas have been uncovered around the castle, inside its protective walls. Archaeologists estimate that up to 100 such residential areas are hidden beneath the surface. According to NPR, the excavation is ongoing, with hopes of shedding light on this unique form of settlement. Among the discoveries are administrative buildings and weapon storage areas, which have previously amazed researchers. World's largest thunderbird fossil unearthed in Australia. An 8-million-year-old, remarkably preserved fossil of a thunderbird has been discovered in Central Australia. Paleontologists describe it as an extreme evolutionary experiment. This is the largest bird species ever recorded, as large as a dinosaur. Standing 10 feet tall and weighing at least half a ton, it had a collection of bizarre anatomical features. This thunderbird has been given the legendary name Strighton's thunderbird, or Dromornis sturtoni in scientific terms. It possessed an oversized beak protruding from a relatively small skull, attached to a massive body. Researchers have noted that its family is described as only making the creature sound more ridiculous, indicating that it is closely related to modern-day chickens and ducks, but was essentially a devilish duck. Dr. Adam Yates, a paleontologist in charge of earth sciences at the Museum and Art Gallery of the Northern Territory in Australia, described that the revealed fossil parts were perfectly aligned according to the animal's body anatomy. This means the remains are intact, as when they were buried, he said. Currently, scientists have only uncovered the animal's lower limbs and are digging deeper to find the remaining parts, hoping it's a complete skeleton. The process is slow and meticulous because not only are the fossilized remains fragile, but paleontologists must correctly piece the bones together. Even a slight misalignment could lead to significant errors, making the reconstruction of the extinct species more difficult. According to paleontologist Warren Handley and his colleagues from Flinders University in Australia, they had previously found another individual nearby, but it consisted only of a few small and scattered bones, likely from a male of the same species, which did not provide enough information to fully describe this strange creature. The newly discovered specimen is a female. However, the presence of two individuals has helped researchers identify a few key differences between male and female birds. About 8 million years ago, these thunderbirds might have roamed dry forests, using their large beaks to eat fruits and other animals. The thunderbird was discovered at a fossil treasure trove called Al-Koda, located in a remote area where fossils of ancient kangaroos and marsupial lions have also been found. Archaeologists unearth forbidden Chernobyl zone. What they found shocked the world. In that place, deep within the silent forest, abandoned buildings still stand motionless, mute witnesses to an invisible crime once committed by humanity. No more laughter of children, no sound of traffic, only the wind blowing through shattered windows and the quiet ticking of the Geiger counter. Each pulse, each beat, like the heartbeat of a forgotten land. Today, we turn back the hands of time to the fateful night of April 26, 1986, at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, where one of the most catastrophic disasters in modern industrial history occurred forever, changing the way humanity views nuclear energy. Seconds before hell broke loose, the temperature inside reactor number 4 soared to 8,400 degrees, nearly as hot as the surface of the sun, a number far beyond any safety limit. Then came an explosion that tore through the night sky, shaking the northern skies of Ukraine. The blast had the power of 145,000 pounds of TNT, enough to obliterate a 20-story building. Worse still, it destroyed the reactor core and released about 61,700 pounds of radioactive material into the environment. The fire that followed raged for nearly 2 weeks, sending massive radioactive clouds beyond the borders of the Soviet Union. Carried by wind toward the north and west, they rained down radioactive showers over Europe like invisible blades slicing through the air. In the atmosphere, deadly radioactive isotopes iodine-131, cesium-137, and plutonium-239 began their destructive journey, attacking every living cell they touched. Just 36 hours after the explosion, over 50,000 residents of Pripyat, a town just 2 miles from the plant, were forced to evacuate. No one told them they would never return home. People were allowed to bring only a few personal belongings, leaving behind their homes, possessions, memories, and their futures. 47 workers died shortly after due to acute radiation syndrome. 9 children passed away from thyroid cancer. More than 4,000 cancer cases were reported, and 600,000 people suffered serious radiation exposure. Pripyat, once vibrant with apartment blocks, schools, and movie theaters, is now a ghost town. 35 years after the disaster, nature seems to be reclaiming control, but it's not life as we once knew it. The Red Forest. The most heavily irradiated area is where trees changed color, withered, and the soil became so radioactive that it could kill a human in minutes. Yet strangely, in the midst of death, new life has emerged. Black frogs, swallows with smaller brains, and many other wild animals have adapted to the radioactive environment. Some species have even developed new biological traits, such as darkened skin that helps absorb and resist radiation. Scientists have discovered that plants in Chernobyl have increased genomic methylation, a kind of genetic superpower that helps repair DNA and produce radiation-resistant enzymes. Though living in death, these plants have become symbols of nature's will to survive. Even more remarkable, despite strict evacuation orders, some people refuse to leave Chernobyl. These are elderly residents, deeply tied to the land. They chose to stay in the villages they once called home, even at the cost of their health and lives. They grow vegetables, pick mushrooms knowing the soil is contaminated with cesium-137, and burn firewood from radioactive forests. Those living there do not fear radiation as much as we might imagine. Perhaps to them, inner peace matters more than a life extended by fear. Over the years, scientists from all around the world have come to Chernobyl to study the long-term effects of radiation on biology. One such researcher, German Orizaola, discovered the evolution of black frogs in the exclusion zone. Biologist Elena Buntova and her photographer husband Sergei Lapija captured rare images from within the ruins. Ecologist Timothy Mousseau analyzed the DNA of the region's stray dogs, revealing complex genetic links, a living map of post-disaster adaptation. Chernobyl has become the world's largest open-air laboratory where humanity and nature test the limits of life amid death. In 2016, a massive steel sarcophagus was built to cover reactor number 4, preventing further radiation leaks. It was designed to last 100 years, but what does that mean when plutonium-239 has a half-life of 24,000 years? Beyond scientific exploration, archaeologists have made unique discoveries here. The most striking, the Claw of Death, an excavator claw used to clean radioactive debris during the Chernobyl disaster. It was discovered by archaeologist Rob Maxwell. According to Maxwell, the claw is extremely dangerous. 33 years ago, it was used to collect highly toxic graphite and fuel rods scattered across rooftops after the explosion. During expeditions in 2010 and 2011, Maxwell used a handheld Geiger counter to measure its radiation levels before quickly retreating. The reading showed it still emits 39.80 microsieverts per hour, compared to a normal background level of 0.17 microsieverts. The sievert is the international unit for measuring the absorption of ionizing radiation that can cause biological damage. Another chilling discovery, a roughly 10-foot wide radioactive mass, hideous and wrinkled like tree bark and glass, known as the elephant's foot. It was found in December 1986 in a basement beneath reactor number 4. Even today, stepping into the room where the elephant's foot lies is equivalent to receiving a death sentence. This mass is highly radioactive corium, a rarely photographed substance. During a routine safety test on April 26, 1986, reactor number 4 exploded, triggering a chain reaction. About 600 workers were dispatched to contain the radiation leak. For 10 days, the nuclear fuel rods kept burning, releasing radioactive particles into the air. Over 30 workers died in the following months. Thousands more developed cancer and serious health issues due to immense radiation exposure. The elephant's foot emits up to 10,000 roentgens per hour, enough to kill a person in just a few days. Even a few minutes of exposure can cause horrifying symptoms like cellular destruction, vomiting, diarrhea, and uncontrollable death. Anyone lingering near it for over 5 minutes would be dead within 48 hours. This 10 feet wide mass is considered one of the most dangerous objects ever created on Earth. When it first formed, it was so hot it melted through several feet of concrete, eventually reaching groundwater and contaminating water supplies for miles. The most famous photo of the elephant's foot is shrouded in mystery. It is believed to have been taken by Artur Khayarev, deputy director of the Shelter Object Project, in 1996 beneath reactor room 217. Artur Korneyev, who visited Chernobyl more than anyone else, likely suffered the most exposure. He reportedly used a timer on his camera to capture this ghostly image. The blurry, mottled texture of the photograph is said to be the result of the elephant's foot's deadly radiation, even a decade after its formation. To this day, more than 33 years later, it still emits heat from radioactive decay and poses serious health risks. It is so hard and dense that no conventional drill can penetrate it. As you can see, the Chernobyl disaster of 1986 was unimaginably horrifying. But amid the devastation, archaeologists and scientists have made incredible, sometimes eerie discoveries. And yet, this isn't the end of today's story. Beyond the mystery of Chernobyl, many more fascinating, mysterious, sometimes spine-chilling discoveries await. So, what are they? Let's continue exploring right now. A skeleton with a glass bottle between its legs. At the beginning of 2021, during a major excavation at a former burial site used between 1783 and 1861 in the city of Hull, East Yorkshire, England, archaeologists encountered a bizarre scene, one that remains unexplained to this day. While excavating ancient graves on Castle Street in Hull's city centre as part of a £355 million, approximately $440 million USD infrastructure project known as the A63 scheme, aimed at creating a new junction to reduce traffic congestion, a team of 70 professional archaeologists made a strange discovery. Unlike the thousands of skeletons uncovered at the site, this particular one had a blue glass bottle placed between its legs. Even more puzzling, the bottle contained a mysterious brown liquid that has yet to be definitively identified. Etched into the bottle were the words Hull Infirmary, suggesting that the bottle was deliberately placed in the grave at the time of burial. This location is believed to be one of the largest post-medieval cemeteries ever excavated in northern England, and the discovery of the bottle shocked many. Katie Dalman, who oversaw the excavation, stated, "Finding artifacts such as rings, coins, clothing, and even dinnerware in burial sites is fairly common, but this bottle is highly unusual. Not only was it placed in a very specific spot between the person's legs, it was also sealed and nearly full of liquid." The engraving on the bottle served as a clue that helped researchers begin to unravel some of the grave's secrets. Hull Infirmary was first established at a temporary site in 1782, just 1 year before the cemetery opened, and was relocated to a building on Prospect Street in 1784. Katie added, "We now know a bit more about the individual's identity. She was a woman in her 60s at the time of death. She suffered from rickets and osteoporosis before she died." Further tests were conducted to determine the nature of the mysterious liquid. A sample was sent to specialists at Nottingham Trent University for advanced analysis. The results showed the presence of sodium, potassium, and phosphorus in the fluid. Archaeologists now speculate that the liquid might have been urine, though this possibility raises even more questions. What was the significance? Why was it placed there? And if it wasn't urine, what else could it be? Another theory proposed by Katie suggests that the fluid might have been a phosphate-based tonic. These kinds of medicinal tonics were popular in the 19th century and were often advertised as cures for various illnesses, including tuberculosis. However, without conclusive evidence, researchers are still running additional tests, hoping to uncover definitive answers soon. The 3,300-year-old claw of a flightless bird. You've probably heard of massive prehistoric creatures like dinosaurs or mammoths. But did you know that less than 30 years ago, archaeologists uncovered a strange living relic deep beneath the soil of New Zealand? It was a giant claw, still covered in flesh and skin, as if it had just been removed from a creature that died only days ago. This astonishing discovery was made in a deep cave on Mount Owen, and left scientists across the world stunned. How could a piece of a decayed corpse survive for nearly 300 years and still retain soft tissue? And what mysterious creature had left behind such an eerie trace? The answer? The upland moa, a species of prehistoric bird that went extinct centuries ago but once ruled the grasslands of New Zealand. Yes, you heard that right. Moa birds, whose ancestors first appeared around 18.5 million years ago, weren't just a single species, but a group of at least 10 distinct species, each with unique sizes and features. Among them, the dwarf of the family, Megalapteryx didynus, the upland moa, was the most fascinating. They stood only about 4 feet 3 inches tall, making them the smallest, yet they were the most resilient of all moa species. Unlike modern birds, moas had no wings, no tail, and were covered in thick feathers, an adaptation to the cool climates of New Zealand's highlands. They once roamed dense forests, open grasslands, and rugged mountain regions. Each step of the moa carved a historical footprint into the wild landscape of this island nation. Their lives were peaceful, with their only natural predator being the Haast's eagle, the largest eagle known to have ever existed, capable of striking from the sky with deadly precision. But everything changed in the 13th century, when Polynesian settlers arrived in New Zealand. With humans came uncontrolled hunting, habitat destruction, and the collapse of the natural balance. Despite surviving millions of years of geological and climate changes, the MOA couldn't withstand the devastation brought by the most intelligent species on Earth. One particularly tragic detail for researchers is the MOA's extremely slow growth rate. They took many years to reach reproductive age. This meant they couldn't reproduce quickly enough to offset the pace at which they were being hunted. Eventually, the MOA completely disappeared, long before European settlers arrived in New Zealand in the 1760s. Today, remains such as feathers, skin, and even muscle tissue have been found in caves, swamps, and deserts, offering haunting, tangible proof of a giant bird that once ruled this land. Discoveries like the Mount Owen claw not only deepen our understanding of the past, but also serve as a chilling reminder. Extinction is not a distant event. Sometimes, it's only one decision, one action, or one generation away. The stone walls of Sacsayhuaman. Imagine standing before a towering ancient structure once considered the stone heart of a great civilization. What would you think? Massive stones, each weighing hundreds of tons, are so precisely arranged that not even a sheet of paper can slip between them. What's even more astounding, not a single drop of mortar was used in their construction. Yes, the structure I'm referring to is Sacsayhuaman, the mysterious and awe-inspiring masterpiece of the Inca civilization, located on the edge of the ancient city of Cusco, once the sacred capital of this mighty empire. Sacsayhuaman, pronounced Sacsayhuaman in the native tongue, is not just the ruins of a fortress. It's a symphony in stone, built with an engineering skill far ahead of its time. The zigzagging walls, layered in 3 tiers like dragon scales, are formed from enormous stone blocks, each meticulously carved to interlock perfectly. So much so, it feels like the entire structure was shaped from a single solid rock. One of the walls stretches nearly 300 feet long, stands around 20 feet high, and features stones that reach up to 28 feet tall. It's hard to believe this was built centuries ago by hand, without machines, and without using any cement. Estimates suggest that the original Sacsayhuaman complex was 4 times larger than what remains today and could have held over 10,000 people. And you might be surprised to learn that the Quilca culture, a pre-Inca society, began constructing the first walls here as early as the 12th century, hundreds of years before the Inca Empire reached its golden age. That means Sacsayhuaman isn't just a symbol of Inca grandeur, it's a living witness to generations of ancient peoples who once inhabited the Cusco Valley. But Sacsayhuaman is more than just a military fortress. Recent archaeological surveys suggest it may have once been a sacred temple, a ceremonial site dedicated to Inti, the sun god, the most important deity in the Inca belief system. 3 towers once stood atop the rounded platforms above the stone walls. These are believed to have been sacred spaces where priests conducted rituals, lifting their eyes to the sky as the Andean sunrise bathed the stones in golden light. However, the 16th century marked a tragic turning point. When the Spanish conquistadors invaded Cusco, they dismantled much of Sacsayhuaman in an attempt to erase the cultural symbols of the indigenous people. They repurposed stones from this holy site to build houses, churches, and mansions for colonial elites. What remains are the stones even the Spanish couldn't move, some weighing up to 200 tons, still lying there as powerful evidence of the skill and resilience of ancient builders. So when you stand before this colossal site, have you ever wondered, how did the Inca move and position such enormous stones? Is there something here that defies ordinary explanation? And if this truly was a temple, how many rituals and secrets still lie buried beneath layers of ancient earth and stone? The answers may remain hidden, but one thing is certain. This structure is absolutely stunning. The 3,500-year-old, 1,000-ton obelisk that was never raised. In the heart of an ancient quarry, a forgotten monument has been lying still for more than 3 millennia, not only bearing the marks of time, but also raising unanswered questions about the extraordinary engineering skills of ancient Egypt. This is the unfinished obelisk, a wonder left behind in the stone quarries of Aswan, once the largest source of granite in all of ancient Egypt. Set deep within this sun-baked land, the obelisk lies tilted in the ground, like a sleeping giant. And the most remarkable thing? It was never raised. Believed to have been commissioned by Pharaoh Hatshepsut, one of the most powerful female rulers in history, between 1473 and 1458 BCE, this obelisk was intended to serve as a companion monument to the Lateran obelisk in Karnak, which still holds the record as the tallest standing obelisk in existence, standing about 150 feet tall including its base. But astonishingly, if completed, the unfinished obelisk of Aswan would have been even taller, 1/3 higher than the Lateran obelisk, if measuring only the shaft. So why was such a massive and ambitious structure left incomplete? The answer lies in the cracks, evidence of a critical failure during its carving. While still being shaped from the granite bedrock, the obelisk split unexpectedly, making it unsuitable for raising into a monument. Even the most skilled ancient artisans had no choice but to abandon it. Yet, this very incompletion has made the unfinished obelisk unique. Since it was never moved from the quarry, it serves as a perfect time capsule, offering archaeologists an invaluable glimpse into ancient Egyptian stone carving techniques. The chisel marks are still visible, the red ochre guidelines still intact, as if the workers just left yesterday. Through these clues, researchers can reconstruct how these massive monuments were carved, shaped, and intended to be transported. an engineering marvel that still leaves the modern world in awe. But perhaps the biggest mystery remains. How could ancient Egyptians possibly move a stone weighing over 1,000 tons? The prevailing theory suggests they used wooden sledges to drag the obelisk out of the quarry and placed it on large barges to float down the Nile. Once it arrived at its destination, they likely relied on natural slopes, pulley systems, and ropes to hoist it upright, then lower it vertically into place. To many, that might sound simple in theory, but to pull that off more than 3,000 years ago without cranes, bulldozers, or modern equipment, that's nothing short of incredible. So even today, the unfinished obelisk is more than just an archaeological site. It's a testament to the ambition, skill, and imagination of the ancients. People who looked at a 1,000-ton block of granite and saw, not a burden, but a monument rising toward the sky. "2,000 mummified ram heads, discovered in ancient Egyptian temple." Amid the scorching sands of the ancient city of Abydos, once the most important religious center of ancient Egypt, a stunning discovery has sent shockwaves through the archaeological community. Over 2,000 mummified ram heads, resting silently beneath layers of sand for more than 2,000 years, have now been unearthed, revealing never-before-known secrets about the enduring reverence held for Pharaoh Ramesses II. Unlike the towering monuments or opulent tombs often associated with ancient Egypt, this time researchers didn't find gold, jewels, or ancient curses. They found rams. But don't dismiss this find, it's anything but ordinary. These ram heads were carefully mummified and were likely sacred offerings, symbolizing a profound spiritual connection between humans and the divine. Interestingly, these rams were not mummified during the reign of Ramesses II, but nearly 1,000 years after his death, during the Ptolemaic era, a time when the descendants of Alexander the Great ruled Egypt. This shows that the reverence for Ramesses II did not fade with time. Instead, it was preserved and perhaps even strengthened through generations. Many believed he was not merely a king, but a living god, a timeless symbol of power and order. So why rams? According to researchers, in ancient Egyptian culture, rams were not just domesticated animals. They were symbols of fertility, rebirth, and divinity. Rams were associated with gods like Khnum, the creator god with the head of a ram, who was believed to have fashioned humans on a potter's wheel. Offering mummified rams to Ramesses II may have been seen as a sacred gesture, a way to send a spiritual message of devotion to the soul of Egypt's greatest pharaoh. Beyond the ram heads, archaeologists also uncovered mummified remains of wild goats, cattle, dogs, and even antelopes, all animals believed to hold spiritual significance. This discovery paints a broader picture of ancient religious rituals, much of which we are only beginning to understand. These animals might have served as spirit guides for the pharaoh's soul in the afterlife, or as mediums for seeking divine protection. Even more remarkably, near the site where these thousands of animal mummies were found, researchers also discovered the remains of an ancient palace dating back 4,000 years to the Old Kingdom period, predating Ramesses II himself. This proves that Abydos was not just a burial or worship site, but also a political and religious center with a profound and layered history that spanned dynasties. And when you imagine thousands of meticulously preserved ram heads, wrapped in linen, resting beneath the floor of an ancient temple, it becomes clear that this is more than archaeology. It's a message from the past, a reminder that faith and reverence can transcend death and time, leaving immortal traces in the sands of the desert. A treasure hidden in a forgotten well. The story begins at the Abergavenny Arms, a building steeped in history, originally constructed in the 15th century. Once a courthouse, then a morgue, and now a cozy, vintage-style bar, the place holds more than moss-covered stone walls. Its current owner, Lucy Sargent, discovered the forgotten dry well beneath the bar during a routine maintenance check. Driven by curiosity and a glimmer of hope, Lucy hired a team of specialists to explore and clear out the well. What they uncovered exceeded all expectations. Thousands of metal coins buried in mud, alongside small pieces of jewelry, porcelain dolls, stuffed animals, and even numerous small knives scattered at the bottom. This bizarre and symbolic treasure trove had remained hidden for centuries. According to local lore, the well was once a wishing well. Over the centuries, countless individuals had stood at its edge, closed their eyes, and tossed a coin in, silently wishing for love, luck, or peace. Over time, the well became a repository not just for metal, but for the emotions, hopes, and dreams of generations. After cleaning, the total value of the treasure was estimated at around $1,000, approximately $1,260 USD. Not a large amount in monetary terms, but deeply meaningful for Lucy and the local community. "We don't want to keep it for ourselves," Lucy said. "It's a gift from the past, and we want to turn it into something positive for the present." So Lucy decided to donate 75% of the money to the New Haven RNLI lifeboat station, which performs life-saving missions along the southern coast of England. The remaining funds were given to Rodmell Parish Church, a long-standing spiritual symbol of the area. The story of the old well is captivating not for its material worth, but for the questions it raises about history, spirituality, and humanity. Who was the first person to toss a coin in? What were the small knives, toys, or remnants of forgotten rituals? And the wishes whispered into the darkness of the well, did any of them ever come true? Perhaps the real treasure lies not in the coins or trinkets, but in the way modern people honor the past, without destruction or haste, but with a gentle human dialogue across time. In a world constantly in flux, even an old well can tell a story that was never written. The past, after all, is quite a fascinating place. The Skeleton Lake, containing hundreds of human remains. Hidden in the snow-covered valleys of the Indian Himalayas lies a remote glacial lake filled with hundreds of human skeletons. This is Rupkund Lake, located at an altitude of 16,500 feet above sea level, nestled in the Trisol mountain range, one of the tallest peaks in India, in the state of Uttarakhand. The site was discovered in 1942 by a British forest ranger. To date, an estimated 600 to 800 skeletal remains have been found there. For more than half a century, anthropologists and researchers have been puzzled by a series of questions. Who were these people? When did they die? Where did they come from? One prevailing theory suggests they belonged to an Indian king, his wife, and their attendants, all of whom perished in a sudden hailstorm about 870 years ago. Another theory posits that the remains are those of Indian soldiers who attempted to invade Tibet in 1841 but were pushed back. More than 70 of them are believed to have tried to return home across the Himalayas, only to die on the way. Yet another possibility is that the lake served as a burial ground for victims of an epidemic. A research team conducted DNA analysis and carbon dating on 38 bodies, including 15 women, and found that some remains date back approximately 1,200 years. The analysis revealed a surprising genetic diversity among the individuals and indicated that their deaths occurred as much as 1,000 years apart. According to Iadao and Harney, a graduate researcher from Harvard University, it's still unclear what exactly happened at Rupkund Lake, but what we do know is that the deaths of these individuals cannot be explained by a single catastrophic event. To this day, no definitive explanation has been found for the tragic fate of those who died here. The mystery of Rupkund Lake remains unsolved. The Cave Temples of India. Deep within the dense and dangerous forests of Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve, where wild Bengal tigers still silently stalk their prey, lies an archaeological treasure that few could imagine. Over 20 ancient Buddhist temples and dozens of sculptures, undisturbed for more than 2,500 years, are now slowly being revealed thanks to the dedicated and daring efforts of Indian archaeologists. Excavating in Bandhavgarh is unlike any ordinary archaeological mission. It is tiger territory, and every step into the jungle could be a person's last. But the risk has proven worthwhile. In total, researchers have discovered 26 rock-cut cave temples, housing Buddha statues, stone carvings, ancient reliefs, and even old board games etched into stone slabs, vivid remnants of a once thriving civilization deep in the forest. Most remarkable are 46 preserved sculptures and 19 ancient water paintings, an incredibly rare form of artwork that has survived in surprisingly good condition, showcasing the advanced aesthetics and craftsmanship of ancient artisans. This area was not just a spiritual hub, but also a major cultural and religious center that remained active until at least the 11th century. Additionally, some of the hydraulic systems and irrigation structures found at the site have been dated to the 15th century, indicating that the region served not only religious functions, but also played a strategic role in both daily life and defense. Every stone, every path, and even the smallest carvings contribute to the story of a flourishing Buddhist center that once existed in the heart of the wilderness. Among all these impressive finds, the most significant and perhaps the most astonishing is the massive statue of the god Varaha, carved directly into a cliff face and estimated to date back to the 9th century. Depicted as a half-man, half-wild boar figure symbolizing divine rescue in Hinduism, this statue is not only rich in spiritual meaning, but is also a breathtaking masterpiece of rock sculpture. It serves as a powerful testament to the cultural overlap between Buddhism and Hinduism during a transformative period in Indian history. It is almost unbelievable that such invaluable treasures lie within a wildlife reserve, an area most people today associate only with rare animals, never suspecting that a historical trove spanning more than 2 millennia rests beneath layers of moss and the dust of time. Each discovery here enriches our understanding of ancient Indian religion and art, while also prompting compelling questions. Who built these temples? How did they live amid the wilderness? And how did such a sacred site remain forgotten for centuries? As sunlight filters into these ancient caves, casting a warm glow on the faded sculptures, one does not merely see history, but feels the breath of a once vibrant culture slowly returning to the world, one archaeological dig at a time. Mysterious object, 78 feet long, found on the beach. Recently, strange and unusual creatures have been washing up on beaches around the world, carried in by the waves. These often include the remains of marine animals, some of which can be identified and others that cannot. From jellyfish to massive fish species, these discoveries have continued to surprise local residents and experts alike. However, recently on a beach in Florida, locals discovered a mysterious structure approximately 78 feet long buried in the sand. Residents reported that after Hurricane Ian and Hurricane Nicole, the coastal erosion in the area had exposed some unexpected things. Unlike other beaches, the structure discovered on the Florida beach appeared to be made of wood and metal. However, its true nature and composition have yet to be determined. Tamara Malfers, a spokesperson for the Volusia County Beach Safety Agency, mentioned that the erosion had not been noticed in a long time. She said, "It's been a long time since we've seen erosion like this. I've been at this beach for nearly 25 years, but this is the first time I've seen something like this exposed. However, we're not sure what it is." Soon after photos of the mysterious object were shared on social media and quickly went viral, people began speculating about its true nature. Many suggested that the object might be a shipwreck or the main part of an old ship. On the other hand, some argued that its size and shape seemed too small and too straight for a ship. Earlier, local residents had discovered a strange creature about 26 feet long washed up on the beach in Bremen, Maine. It was the carcass of a basking shark, a massive creature about the size of a pickup truck. Although the basking shark is harmless to humans, as it primarily swims through the water with its mouth wide open to feed on plankton and small invertebrates, the cause of its death remains unclear. Just like the mysterious object 78 feet long, its origins remain one of the ocean's greatest mysteries. The Golden City of Paititi. There is a legend about the lost Golden City of Paititi, a sacred place filled with gold, hidden somewhere deep within the jungles of South America. Long ago, the Spanish army and the army of the Inca Empire frequently clashed. When the Spanish forces prevailed and seized the wealthy city of Paititi, they were stunned to find only an abandoned city. The people of Paititi had evacuated to a new settlement in the South American jungle, in what is now southern Brazil. They took all of their treasure, including vast amounts of gold, with them. The new city where the Paititi people relocated has never been found, and naturally, the gold they carried with them vanished mysteriously. The story of the Golden City of Paititi gradually turned into a legend. In 2009, satellite images of areas of deforested jungle near the city of Boca do Acre, Brazil, showed evidence of large human settlements once living in the area. This discovery caused historians and archaeologists to remember the legend of Paititi, prompting the possibility that a golden city had once been hidden deep in the South American jungle. However, the exact location of this golden city has yet to be uncovered. The Hell Gate, burning for a century in Ethiopia. The Hell Gate is the name of the world's oldest continuously active lava lake. Temperatures here have sometimes exceeded 2012 degrees Celsius, but this has not deterred brave visitors. Portuguese photographer Joel Santos, 38, used a special drone camera to capture the majestic beauty of the lava lake from above. The lava lake is located on the Gonur-Tepe volcano in the Afar region of Ethiopia, and it has been burning continuously since 1906 with no sign of stopping. Santos mentioned that every 2 to 3 minutes, he hears a small hissing sound caused by pressure building beneath the volcano and cracks suddenly widening. Santos is fully aware of the dangers of capturing such a natural phenomenon from such a close distance. The most recent major eruption occurred in September 2005, killing 250 livestock and forcing nearby residents to evacuate. Then in August 2007, the lava flow caused 2 people to go missing, and just over a year later, in November 2008, the volcanic eruption forced more evacuations. The Danakil Desert, where the Gonur-Tepe volcano is located, is the hottest uninhabited area on Earth. As a result, Santos could only shoot in the early morning or late evening. His cameras, with 4K resolution, are capable of handling the intense heat near the lake. He also warned, "We must be extremely careful. The natural scenery is magnificent, but always carries many hidden dangers." However, one of the issues to be mindful of is the safety at Gonur-Tepe itself. Not only is the terrain one of the most inhospitable on Earth, but the local people are often considered hostile to visitors. In 2012, some tourists were kidnapped, injured, or killed in this area. This truly is a place both mysterious and terrifying. The treasure in the Copper Scroll. Located in the dry land of the Judean Plateau, not far from the Dead Sea and the town of Kalya, is a place that was once forgotten by time, the Qumran site. Here, the sheer cliffs, rugged ravines, and ancient caves are not only natural relics, but also hold one of humanity's greatest archaeological treasures. Among the hundreds of remarkable discoveries here, there is one mystery that still baffles scientists and treasure hunters worldwide: the mysterious Copper Scroll. In 1952, in Cave 3 of the Qumran area, archaeologists discovered an unusual object, a heavily oxidized copper scroll that appeared to have been rolled up like leather or papyrus. What was special about this scroll is that, unlike the over 970 other manuscripts made from leather and papyrus, this one was made entirely of metal. Later, for technical reasons, it was split into 2 parts, but in reality, it was still one single scroll. When the contents inside were deciphered, the world was stunned. The scroll did not contain scriptures, religious laws, or historical records. Instead, it was a detailed list of 64 locations where gold, silver, precious metal ingots, and jewels were hidden. The descriptions were vague yet full of allusions, as if they were coded for those in the know to understand. For example, in the tomb at the 3rd column of stones, there are 100 gold bars. Or, climb the secret staircase to the left, above the floor, there are 40 pounds of gold. These short but suggestive sentences make the reader feel as though they are stepping into a maze in search of ancient treasure. According to experts, the Copper Scroll is believed to have been written between 110 BCE and 30 BCE, during the time when the Romans were occupying this land. Many scholars believe it could be a treasure map created to hide valuable assets during times of turmoil, when Jewish temples were being destroyed and people had to flee, taking what they could carry with them. What adds to the allure of this Copper Scroll is the long silence that followed its writing. No one came to collect the treasure, and no records have confirmed that any of the listed locations were ever found. All that remains are a list of vague coordinates, directions hidden in symbolic language, and hundreds of gold ingots that have never been unearthed. Because of this, the Copper Scroll has become one of the greatest mysteries in archaeological history. Many searches have been conducted, but to this day, none of the treasures on the list have been confirmed as discovered. Could the whole story be just a legend? Or are those treasures still lying dormant in the earth of Israel, waiting for someone brave enough to decode each line of the cold, greenish copper? When the desert sun shines on the characters etched into the Copper Scroll, people don't just see metal and words. They see greed, hope, and the collapse of an ancient civilization that faced historical turmoil and, in desperation, left a map behind for future generations, a map no one is sure will ever lead to its destination. As you can see, the ancient world is always filled with incredible and mysterious secrets, many of which we may never fully uncover, right? So, out of all the fascinating discoveries mentioned, which one impressed you the most? Feel free to leave a comment below, and don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss any other historical exploration videos. And now, this video will pause here. Goodbye and see you again soon.